the home debut of James Harden. However, it was Sam Merrill who ended up stealing the headlines for the Wine and Gold.
Porter. Wow, found Merrill. Did Merrill get back in bounds? Tony Rose, and he did. And Sam Merrill with a signature performance. 9 threes for Sam Merrill and a career high 32.
The Kersey Cavs, FanDuel Sports Network Ohio. Good guys win it 138-113. Merrill was 11 of 12 overall shooting in the game. Donovan Mitchell helped out 30 points. Cavs win their 5th row in his home debut with the Cavs. James Harden just 1 of 4 shooting, but still a double-double, 13 points and 11 assists. Pitchers and catchers for the Guardians who are playing for the World Baseball Classic had a workout on Wednesday. Today, the entire group for the Guardians gets a workout in at the complex in Goodyear. Also, position players taking part in the WBC, they report today, and that includes Travis Bazzano, who's going to be playing for Team Australia. Winter Olympics this afternoon in men's hockey. The United States going to take on Latvia. Men's curling in a couple hours. The United States faces Switzerland. Women's curling, the ladies had their first game this morning, just wrapped it up. They beat Korea 8-4. Another match this afternoon as the U.S. will take on Sweden. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
Tonight we're gonna take no prisoners.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Merrill leaks out. He'll shovel back to Harden. Once more to Merrill. He doesn't hesitate. Oh, goodness. Sam Merrill is putting on a show.
A lot of hustle on that offensive end by the Wizards. These young guys flying around everywhere.
Unbelievable. What a feed. Behind the back, Harden to Tyson. Porter. Wow, found Merrill. Did Merrill get back in bounds? Tony Rose, and he did. And Sam Merrill with a signature performance. 9 threes for Sam Merrill and a career high 32.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you just kind of feel like everything's going to go in, and every possession, it's like James and Don are like looking for me, and I'm almost like, it's all good. Like I'll get my threes. Like, don't need to force anything, but they both did a great job of kind of finding me, and fortunately a bunch went in.
Definitely vibes. Definitely good energy. Definitely communicating and just talking about the things that's important. You know what I mean? Like I told them, I'll figure it out. We'll do some adjusting, not with each other, but for the most part, y'all play with y'all and do what y'all been doing, and I'll find my way. And they've been doing that.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew. It's the way it should be.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of FanDuel, your Cleveland Cavaliers. It was basically like a pep rally yesterday. Washington's not a serious basketball team. How many more games do you have against tanking teams? What did Tom Haberstroh say?
All of them,
They're
with the
all
exception of like 6 games.
Haberstroh thinks we can get the number 1 seed.
Oh, well, did you see him play last night? It looks like they are a team that absolutely could win the Eastern
Conference.
Conference.
Get the number 1 seed. Outstanding. What'd you think of everything you saw? The entire evening, there was a lot of anticipation, man. There was a lot of anticipation. And it felt like a lot more people who usually don't go to games went to this game.
Yes.
I had a lot of people.
I wondered if
you're going to Cavs game? You're going to Cavs
so sometimes
game?
one of the themes I think of this show is Ken's got his football guys, I've got my hoops guys.
Yeah.
And obviously we love both, but there's no confusing like what our circle of friends like the most or whatever. But I am getting people coming out of the woodwork, and so I wanted to make sure that wasn't just my bubble. But I've got people that were at the game last night. I had people asking me if I was at the game, and I couldn't go. I'm going to go next Thursday for sure when they come back to the All-Star break. I think they got Brooklyn because I feel like now I'm missing out. This is like FOMO. I told the wife, like, you're just going to have to figure it out with the 2 kids because we got James Harden and the Cavs are kicking ass like crazy. And she actually knows.
James Harden's a reason to leave your wife and children.
Yeah, she knows who James Harden is, by the way.
Well, why wouldn't she?
Top 10 scorer of all time.
No, that's not why. No,
Kardashians.
No, Kardashian.
Yep.
Yeah, like my sister.
There you go.
So I always have the test.
Wasn't 11th in assists.
No. And my wife or my sister, they do not know who Sam Merrill is, and he could have 10 straight games of what he had last night. they're not going to know who Sam Merrill is.
We got to text my wife right now and ask
They
her.
know exactly who James Harden is.
I just want to ask her. Don't look it up. Go ahead. You guys talk. I got to text her.
So that's the bubble that I talk about, that I want to make sure. And when Ken says he's getting the messages from people, and are you getting them? Because you were, before the trade, you were like, my God, I am so down on this experience.
I was hate watching the Cavs at one point, and then I stopped watching the Cavs at one point because we ran the same lineup out there for
4 years.
4 years, and I was tired of watching that lineup, and now we don't have that lineup. And it's become enjoyable.
I gotta be honest, I was calling you a baby behind the scenes with Ken, and I think you could feel that. I was getting really frustrated with you.
I was really frustrated with not winning basketball.
You say it to him. You say that to Owen. You don't say it to me. You tell Owen. Owen can be a tough cookie.
I know. Well, but the thing is, I want to screw with the dynamic of the show, and I got where you were coming from, and you weren't alone. There was a malaise.
Yeah.
Nobody can deny that there was a malaise.
Well, I felt like you and your basketball people were turning your noses up at me and my everyman people who just want to. I don't care about the NBA. I don't really care about basketball. I do care about my team. When it's this, we got Olympics right now, right? Nobody watches downhill skiing on a Thursday in November in 2027, right? But you're going to watch it right now because it's the Olympics. That's my same feeling with the Cavs is that's my team. That's who I want to root for. When they win, I want to be loud about it. When they lose, and it looks like they're losing because they're stuck in a rut and refusing to change their positioning, it pisses me off. And they had pissed me off, and now here they are. They went and did something that we discussed before the show, did not think could happen, and it happened, and it seems to have gotten them out of that rut right now.
I just didn't think that they had a choice. I didn't, and you still technically you didn't trade them for a wing, but I didn't know if they had anything left to do, and then you found the option that they could work with, and I know that they got some other things that they could do this offseason because they've moved some things around and things like that. But I mean that bogs it down. I do think that this is almost like a new season has begun. Like last night was basically a new opening night for Cavs fans.
That was we had those Cavalanche vibes all year last year. Yes. Last night was that. We were back in that mode.
Judas Priest, it really was.
And even when the Wizards, they cut into it, I think they cut the lead to like 3 in the third quarter.
Yeah, it got down pretty.
And at no point.
I still didn't take it seriously.
At no point was I worried at all. Because like I saw James Harden couldn't dribble all of a sudden in the third quarter. And he was just shaking his head. And then they were turning the ball over. And then we could not get a rebound. And if there is one thing we will be tracking when Evan Mobley comes back, is the rebounding situation. Because they're playing so small against teams. You got to remember, Jared Allen is not a 7-footer. Like he's actually, we got to get into his numbers and what they're calling him, what the guys in the locker room are calling him right now, because they're insane. And I don't want to short Sam Merrill in his night, because it's funny. Last night was supposed to be, they left one of these. Did you get, I got one in the locker room.
I have one in my bag.
Okay, I didn't know if you had it out. But it was supposed to be beard night last night.
Yeah, it was.
And Sam Merrill kind of stole the show incredibly.
If you I didn't think it was ever going to be. I know it got down to 3 or so. I still wasn't going to be bothered by it because I'm thinking, if you let Sam Merrill go coast to coast, I know what you're trying to do here as a franchise. And I think that, listen, he is a piece that can help out this basketball team. I don't want to take away from his night. I think that he can help out with a James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen team. I think he can help in that regard.
He started out 9 of 9 from the 3-point line and 11 of 11 from the field.
Now, I don't know if he's going to be that like in an Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, considering the defense is going to change a little bit and the competition you're playing is going to change. But you know what? I'm going to take what I can get in that moment, because I really thought it was just a giant celebration. Get-in price wasn't that bad. Again, and I just saw a lot of people who, it's not like I know a lot of football guys, but I just saw a lot of people who really are not like, they like sports, but it's like not their job or anything like that. And I just saw a lot of my friends on social media like, here we go. We got the beard. Took the kids, got the beard. I'm like, okay. And that's why it's like, it felt like opening night.
And everybody was having fun with it.
Yes.
It's a rebirth. It was opening night. You're right. That's exactly what it was.
We had Sable doing hits over at 8. I'm sure that 19 had people doing hits. I know I saw John Doss over there at his excellent sweater that he was wearing. I'm sure that means that all four were there. Everybody was doing live things.
Wait a second. Wait.
To see James Harden. What?
We got to talk about who was really there all of a sudden, working again.
Who?
Did you hear a certain contributor to the show asking questions in the press conference?
Mr. Gumshoe is back.
All of a sudden, Jason Lloyd is
gracing the Rocket Arena with his presence.
I thought they took away his credential for a while, so it's good to see that he's back.
I don't even think they could take it away. He just didn't pick it up.
From last year's end of the season.
It was like Tony Soprano going back to Barone Sanitation.
I figured he was just beat writer emeritus where he was allowed to.
That's what he was saying.
That should be Shadell. That's Shadell.
That's all of Cleveland sports, though.
I'm not going to say anything about the secretary or anything like that.
LeBron books.
I heard the questions and go, oh my gosh, Jason was there last night. What a star-studded event. You know it's a big deal when he comes out of the rafters and decides to go ahead and actually write something about your basketball
down the
team.
Sausage bagel.
Amazing.
And walks right into the arena.
Gets out of his luxury vehicle with grease stains all over the thing, all over his leather. Good luck to the person who buys that pre-owned Mercedes. Got to look all over for his bacon grease. Animal. I don't care if he's awake or not. Wake his ass up.
Yeah,
wake his
him up.
dead ass up.
Wake him up.
Anyway.
Did you hear James Harden yesterday?
Well, yeah.
Because we're in the Harden honeymoon. It's now officially been dubbed by Philadelphia fans, by Houston fans, by Nets fans. They're like, oh, you guys think you're going to win in the postseason
I want to play that
with James Harden.
Can we play that at 620, 624?
Yeah,
Can we do that? Because I want to bask in the after. It's a little long. I want to bask in the afterglow, and I'm a total hypocrite about it, and I want to tell people why it's 624. All right? I want to play this James Harden audio for it. Can we get the Kenny Atkinson though? Can I highlight that? You played it in the open.
Oh, you got to hear this.
You played it in the open.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want to replay that because I had a thought last night. So we're getting ready. I'm doing the 6, and we play. And I almost had to like run out right after and write it down, scribble it down like on the sheet because I go, oh my gosh, I did not bring this up in the first 2 games. They're on the West Coast. I understand that. It didn't hit me, and then it hit me yesterday because he said this is not what he said yesterday before the game. There was something else completely different.
This was after the game. The first thing he said before he took questions.
But he was talking about just how different the team is, and he was like doing it was like a shoot around conversation, and then after the game he said this, and it really hit me again.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew. It's the way it should be.
So, listen, I know we're still in the honeymoon phase here, but again, you got to have the players because I couldn't understand. And I had some people texting me like, well, there's a couple of Sensi runs here. And they go, guys, he won 64 games last year. You guys all praised him. He was the coach of the year, and now all of a sudden he's out on his ass, and people are starting to whisper and groan about him in the back shadows of the arena. I go, this is patently ridiculous here. We have to face facts, and I just have to wonder. I don't know what Donovan would have said or would have done. I don't know. I'm not trying to draw some conclusion that Donovan was secretly stumping for Kenny Atkinson and that there were other people who were problems. But this just goes to show you, there are coaches that are in over their head in the NBA. It happens every year. But you got to have the horses. And if you don't have the horses and it doesn't have the makeup, and you've already set a expectation like you did with 64 wins, I understand you suffer for it, and he does too. But I'm like, well, all of a sudden he's a good coach again? He knows better than anybody. Like, you got to have the players. You got to have the team.
Donovan brought something up last night in the postgame about Kenny's style and how it's meshing with the new roster. I just want to play it real quick. Listen to what he says about how Kenny is giving them a little bit of freedom to be themselves.
When you have that level of IQ in the locker room, you have that, I think it'd be fine. Like, you know what I mean? And even when we figure things out, and I think Kenny said he's going to let us do us, but also still be able to coach us. And I think when you have guys who are coachable, willing to listen, but also him giving us that freedom to go out there and kind of manipulate the game and figure things out, I think that's the best way to go about it.
All right. He tried some things earlier in the year. I think he tried to find some things because I thought that they were stuck. And I know a lot of people were in a really bitter place with him. And I didn't think that they were taking it too very seriously. In that one game against Utah, I snapped and lost my mind there for a moment. I thought that he was trying to find some different things that might help them in the postseason, but it quickly became you are who you are. I wish Darius Garland the best. sounds like everything was just Darius Garland's fault. That's not what I'm trying to make it out to be. But you clearly see when a team that's supposed to be going for an NBA championship, when you add another elite veteran to this team, what it does. And again, I'll use the analogy. I think that James Harden is the father that comes home that can watch the kids while my wife has been dealing with the children all day. It's 7 o'clock. I've come home. I've been in Cleveland all day. Now I will watch the boys. I think that that's what James Harden has become here. And it is a honeymoon phase. I understand that. But I don't know how long I think the honeymoon is going to last. I don't know when reality is really going to set in just until the playoffs because you're playing so many of these bad basketball teams. So I think you're going to see a lot of home games that just become a celebration and cavalanche and fun. And I kind of think we're kind of reverting back to last year because your schedule opens up and is so easy. I mean, you got a couple in there, but there's a lot of teams that are just poop as you get ready for the rest of the regular season after the All-Star break. But I'm glad for Kenny Atkinson. I've never even met the guy, and I think I like him. But I like JB Bickerstaff too. I thought he was a hard ass, but
he's got to worry about breaking up fights right now.
he's like about Mills Lane over there.
He's got to worry about who's actually going to be available to play in the rest of their games.
Coming up in just over 5 minutes, let me admit my own hypocrisy based on something that James Harden said in the postgame last night. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, and liars telling me that I was lying to you. Next on The Fan.
Hey, guys, it's Jonathan. 3 stars moving around like this. We've never seen this before. How do you think we got here to that? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just we've never seen it.
It's a different age. Like it's just what it is, right? And you adapt. I don't know where it started, but like you adapt and you figure things out. Same thing on the court. It's a faster paced league. You just adapt to what's there. But I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? So we just it's one of those things where you adapt and you try to go out there and do what you got to do.
Cavaliers win last night. That was Jason Lloyd asking the question. Look at him actually earning his keep.
Everyone's getting in on the bandwagon.
Yep.
Is the afternoon show getting in on the bandwagon yet?
What's the matter?
At least one of them.
What's wrong?
Jonathan's been all in. I was just hearing him yesterday, and Nick's putting on all these caveats on which games matter and which ones don't. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to have fun with the rest of the games.
Well, I don't know. He got really mad at me yesterday, so I'm not touching that now. And let everybody know that's Lima saying anything. I don't want to get spanked again.
I just definitely can tell. And, part of it is, like, whether it's Jared Allen dropping 40.
We'll give up that second first-round pick for James Harden, but he won't do the...
Whether it was Jared Allen dropping 40 before the Harden move.
Ask him again in 3 weeks.
And he's shooting like 77% from the field over the last, 8 games. And they're calling him Wilt in the locker room. It's insane every time he touches the ball, he scores. Or whether it's Sam Merrill, doing what he did last night. It wasn't the Beard's night. It was the Babyface's night. He was insane. He's making his first, was it 10 threes, 9 threes?
Yeah. Made a lot.
That he dropped.
Yep.
Is it starting to feel to you that they might be special? We don't like to throw around the term special.
Oh, it's very early.
Very often.
What's your definition of special? Is it just going to the finals? Because going to the finals is special to me.
Of course, going to the finals is special.
Okay, then, yeah. Well, I thought that they could be a finals team, so, yeah, special.
Yeah,
they could be special.
The only thing about, the LeBron second time around, the finals were just...
I thought they were formality, yeah.
It was a given, so it didn't feel as special. They won the title. So the next 2 years, you could kind of tell when they had Durant, it's like, but we don't... Are we going to be able to beat them? Like, right now, this feels like they are in the making, the early stages of special.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't have flaws. And every team has flaws to some extent. There are no perfect teams. The Oklahoma City team that started out the year, unbeatable, that's gone. Their fans are starting to get concerned about some things, and SGA is injured, and they have some shooting issues. We have our problems too. Well, let's see when Evan Mobley gets back.
This is the first in-season trade. Even during the LeBron years, they did in-season trades, but that didn't completely change the direction that they were going.
Yeah, they would bring in Luol Deng.
Right.
That wasn't special.
Right.
No.
You had LeBron was special.
This, and you have 27 games to figure it out instead of 82, where it was you would get lulls in the schedule because it was 82 games, and people take off 2 weeks and go to Miami during that time.
I still think there will be a bit of a conversation as well coming up, you guys, about and I hate to say it because we're having fun right now, and I got to get to this Harden clip about loyalty here in a moment. But I think there's going to be conversations about whether or not we got overly confident, because the postseason, I think, is going to be a different animal. And if this team stays healthy, which is always the caveat, but obviously if they stay healthy, I think that they can get through the first round pretty easily, and I think that they can get through the second round fairly enough. I think when you get to the final couple of rounds there, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and I think that conversation will be thrown around. You have to be ready for it, because they have a lot of work to do in a short period of time. When you make big real blockbuster trades, usually these are supposed to be helpful trades to help a team, down the stretch, trying to get over the hump. This is obviously a blockbuster trade. We're talking about an 11-time All-Star here. This is a first-ballot Hall of Famer in James Harden. Usually this is done in the summertime, and you have an 82-game schedule to ramp up. It's exactly what Owen said. You got 27 games left, and the postseason is going to be here before you know it, and when you're playing for keeps, it's going to be a little bit more difficult here. But let me get to this James Harden clip, because I'm gonna admit hypocrisy here. This is James Harden when asked about loyalty. It's a little bit lengthy. This is the post game last night in the homecoming here for the new Cleveland Cavalier James Harden, where everybody's in love.
And the whole quote-unquote loyalty thing I think it's overrated. I think this is a business at the end of the day, and it's a lot of money involved and a lot of decisions that has to be made. You know what I mean? So, if a player isn't producing, or if you don't see him in the future, or front office some of them have to do like a job and want to keep their job, so they gotta feel like they gotta do what's best for to keep their job, and they trade players. Or if a guy isn't happy and he wants to be traded to somewhere else, then it's a problem. It's just so many different dynamics that go into it. This is a business at the end of the day. So like, not even just the NBA, but like people that have normal jobs have those same problems. It's just not magnified. You know what I mean? So. For me, it's always about I don't lose focus of trying to compete for a championship, and then financially making sure that my family is taken care of. You know what I mean? Because I'm very smart and I've sacrificed a lot. You know what I mean? Financially, which I don't get credit. I don't get talked about, but I'm fulfilled and I'm happy with it. But like winning a championship, or at least having a chance to, and then financially getting paid for, me being available and playing at the highest level for so long. So to answer your question, this is a business at the end of the day. So I feel like players should, ultimately do what's best for them, and front office does what's best for them and their owner and their organization. So, it's two sides of a story.
It's hard for me to process this because I know what I would say hearing this clip if he still played for the Los Angeles Clippers or he played for the Houston Rockets or anybody else that he's played for. I know how I would feel about this. The whole you got to take care of your family. You know how I am. I'm an emotional boy, and it would turn into, well, how much do you need? Is this a little Trell Sprewell thing about you can't feed him on $30 million a year alone? Like, what are you going to do?
Well, $30 million. Those were the warm and wholesome days.
Yes.
The James Harden has made $500 million.
Choking out PJ Carlesimo. Yeah. These were wholesome times. I feel differently because he's a Cleveland Cavalier. And so it's hard not to get warm and fuzzies because this team that I didn't think was going to go to a place that I needed it to go for us to be excited looks like the finals are going to be a different animal. The Eastern Conference finals are going to be a different animal. But this team looks like it's competitive. And because it looks competitive and it looks like we're having fun again, it's very hard to be critical. But I have to call myself out for hypocrisy. What's the reason I love Jose Ramirez and I won't say bad things about him? Right? I mean, there's really nothing bad to say. But, if he goes up there and he goes, 1 for 8 in the first 2 games of a wild card series and people start calling in and bitching and I won't take their call or I get really agitated, why do I get really agitated? So when it comes to James Harden, and by the way, I think that this is a guy who's played for so many teams. We have talked about him being lied to. How can I call James Harden a nefarious figure for what he just said there, where I would look at it and go, yeah, you know what? If Daryl Morey told me fibs, I might not be too thrilled myself. And there's also a lot of guys in history who've worked in front offices, Tone, who have used fans against players, who have used fans' sentiment against players, thinking a player will blink because they don't want to handle the heat from the fans. And James Harden's a guy who clearly it lost care for that a long time ago. I think when Kevin Durant left, I think that something in him changed, and I think that it changed with Daryl Morey, and I think that he's going to enjoy it while he's here. I don't think that this is going to end well. I don't, but I have to remember these words that I'm saying right now because I have to call myself out for my own hypocrisy. If he said that anywhere else, I think, and we played it, I'd go, well, we're I don't know why we play it, but okay, if you decided to play it about loyalty and have a big conversation about loyalty, I'd be sitting here probably saying, that's a guy who doesn't get it. Well, because he wears a Cavs jersey, we were all excited last night. Yeah, I tend to take his side on things.
But you would have said, and I appreciate,
it's hard. I'm an emotional person.
The honesty over it.
Thank you.
And I do think these are the types of clips that rub a lot of people the wrong way. My thing is, this is a guy who's out in the open about it. At least he's telling you the truth for once. So many guys try to make it sound like they love where they get drafted. They love the fans when they get in the press conference. Then behind the scenes, give me my money. This guy's like, no, I want to play for championships. I want the money. I'm being honest. For once, an athlete is flat out saying, he's not burying the lead. He's saying what he's in this for. And part of it is, yes, he's had, throughout the extent of his career, he's played for different teams. He's considered a mercenary. But, the guy that went and brought him, into Philly lied to him about a contract, and nobody disputes it really. And even Daryl Morey kind of doesn't dispute it. He told you one thing. He just tries to
move on with the conversation.
And he didn't. And what Harden said in that is, hey, everybody always wants it their way. They want to be able, and the teams and the fans, they want to be able to embrace these players, but the minute there's diminishing returns on the players, they're like, oh, you got to trade them. You got to get rid of them. And what do teams do? What do teams do in the NFL? My God, the NFL, they have the guarantee contracts in the NBA, but in the NFL, all they have, all the players have is, the unfortunate part of they'll get rid of you the minute that they don't think you can help them.
Yeah.
And because of the franchise tag in the NFL, players cannot exercise any of their power the way they can in the NBA. In the NBA, you don't necessarily get to play where you want because they can still trade you, but you get your guaranteed money. So James Harden's just like, yeah, I'm just going to be upfront. I'm going to be honest about it. This is a business. This is what this league is. And James Harden, has he held up his end of the bargain for the most part? He's playing 17 years. And there are a lot of guys that come and go in that time span. Pretty clearly, like James Harden spends time on his craft. He's put the work in. How many guys in the NBA don't get better? And it's like, oh, are these guys at the club every night? James Harden's at the club? Okay, but his game's held up. It's pretty clear that guy is still working and still honing his craft. This might be the best version of James Harden.
I heard this comment on the drive-in this morning, and I thought to myself, like, man, we're not going to have this for very long, right?
No.
And so that starts to get you into depression already, right? And we're just 3 games into it, but trying to not focus on that now. Trying to just – but, yeah, you're right. Like, that's what the NBA is. You don't get it as much in football, especially at quarterback, right? Like, that's the position that's kind of comparable to these NBA superstars.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get it there, but it happens so much in the NBA now, and it's happened for the majority of my adult life now.
I'm just used to it. Yeah, I'm almost in a way. I've been able to kind of separate myself from. It's kind of sad too. Like I don't embrace. I told you guys, like at the end of last week, I don't fall in love with the players anymore like I did when I was a kid and would have the jerseys and put them up on the wall.
You're a 44-year-old man.
Cut up the magazines.
You can't.
And you fall in love with the guy. How many people in this town? How many young people fell in love? God, it was grown men too with Baker Mayfield. And we always warned people like it's going to end bad. It always does. Like,
I didn't think it would end as bad as it did. I didn't think it was going to do that. Like that was Hindenburg bad. That was pretty bad. But I didn't think it was going to end like that.
But the teams will always. I think Harden's point is the teams will always turn on us.
Yeah.
So why does this? Why can't people recognize that? Yeah, this needs to be a two-way street.
I think Owen took a page out of my book, and I want to tell you why I don't feel that way coming up in 5 minutes. As well as guys, I'm open-minded to him. But you're still not making a great case to go out and get this guy. It's coming up in about 10 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. Go ahead, Tom.
XDENDAV.com. Extend.
incredible deals on your favorite name brands. Wayside Furniture, 1367 Canton Road, near the intersection of Route 224. Wayside in Akron, keeping it local since 1937.
271 north from Richmond to Wilson Mills is clear of accidents, as well as 90 east from 611 to Bishop. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind, weeknights at 11.
Change of schedule. Now, we had Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs, 92.3 The Fans, Cleveland Magazine, Inside Shot on Substack. We had him at 9:20 this morning. Now, he's flying to the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game, so he is bumping up. We were going to have Danny at 7:20 this morning. Is it going to be this easy the rest of the season for the Cleveland Cavaliers, or what challenges may lay ahead, and what did he think of James Harden's comments last night where he talked about loyalty? And I will full-on admit, if he was playing for a different team, I'd probably take it a completely different way. It was interesting, though. Owen had said something where you had said, what, like, you had to admit, like, you know that this is going to end sooner or later. I don't think about it like that way, because you reminded me of what I said about Evan Mobley a couple years ago.
Oh, the 6 years that he'd be here?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never forgot.
I thought it was 7. I thought I said 7.
Said 6.
Okay. So the Evan Mobley thing, it reminded me of that. I look at it totally differently. You know, if we would have drafted him, maybe I would have felt a little bit like, oh, God. And I think a lot of cities do that. I look at this as almost a new lease on life, and I understand that it's going to be a short period of time. I was feeling this way going into this season. I felt this way a couple of years ago that, you know, Donovan Mitchell, you knew that he wasn't feeling great about this and that this could end almost any time during a summer, anytime. And with the way things were going, I didn't think it was going to go to a place we needed it to go. We just need to extend this time that we have as long as we can. I don't think it's going to end well, but I don't think that that's I really don't think that's a bad thing. If we get to the NBA Finals this year and say they lose in 6 games to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's go worst case scenario. All right? I'd love to win a championship, have another parade, have $1.5 million at this one, whatever. Say worst case scenario is, all right, they go to the finals, they lose in 6. Okay. And then say you do bring in LeBron next year. Well, that's a hell of a conversation. Say they go back to the finals the next year, or they go to the Eastern Conference Finals and they lose. And you know what? We're going to slap the table, and now it's time to go their separate way. To me, this is the league, and I'm glad that they extended it as far as they could, and I'm glad we got the most out of it that we could. I am not it's disappointing to not get to where you want to go. It is, but I really am not going to be, I can't see myself being bitter and angry and frustrated over these guys, other than, well, we just didn't win the basketball.
Yeah, there's a main difference here this time around with James Harden, at least I think. I mean, he's going to be 37 in August, so this isn't like prime James Harden, oh my God, we're going to lose him in 2 years. Like, this already is an evolved, I think people can appreciate, this is an evolved version of James Harden. The way he's playing the game, he's not monopolizing the basketball at all. In fact, last time I checked, I think now it's 3 games, his usage is actually less than what Darius Garland's was. So he's like playing, he's optimizing his time on the floor.
Yeah.
And then you saw it last night. His whole goal last night was to set up Sam Merrill. Like, he didn't care. He wasn't trying to get his. He wasn't doing the stuff that we were annoyed by earlier in his career, where it was, you know, jab, step, cross, step back 3, try to bait a foul. That's not what he's doing. I'm not as worried about that with this version. We all understood we were going to try to maximize the Donovan window ASAP. That's what this was about. So if in 3 years or 2 years or maybe a year and a half, you know, we're dissatisfied with where we're at. We all understood what this was about. It was about trading for somebody who could elevate your team. And can anybody deny that this team is elevated right now with James Harden?
No, absolutely not. This is a team that I think they're on a collision course to the Eastern Conference Finals with. I think I'm going to be talking differently if Jason Tatum is back. I think I might be talking a little bit differently because I do respect the New York Knicks. Everybody else, I think you should be able to beat them. I think you should be able to beat them, and I think you should be able to beat them pretty fairly efficiently. Vaughn and Parma, you're first up on the Fan. Hello.
What's going on, Ken? Anthony Lyman, what's going on? Ken Carman, what's going on?
Hello, Vaughn. Go right on ahead.
Okay, a couple of things, guys. A couple of things. Let's calm down. A couple of things. I want to get this out. because you said a comment last week, Ken, I want to address, but I'm going to make this fast. First off, the James Harden trade, I like that. He's 10 years older than Darius Garland, but I like that because instead of all the eyeballs being on Donovan Mitchell, it's on Harden now. So now Donovan Mitchell could do his thing. You can't double team nobody because if you double team Harden, Spider gonna be open. If you double team Spider, Harden, and Jalen Tyson gonna be open. First, another thing, Jalen Tyson need to go ahead and take Ty Jerome out to dinner and buy him a steak because this talent was here last year. We just couldn't see it because Ty Jerome was getting all the minutes. So Ty Jerome need to tell Jalen Tyson to tell Ty Jerome, thank you for going to Memphis.
Well, you got to think.
He's been on talent.
And I know you do, but I got to look at what Jalen Tyson has done too, because I think a lot of people kind of had a lump in their throat after Ty Jerome went to Memphis because of how well he played in the postseason, at least in the first series.
Correct.
And for Jalen Tyson to step up and look like a bona fide part of the future of this franchise, I mean that goes a lot into a feather in his cap. What was the thing you wanted to bring up of what I said last week?
Okay, now, I always call you out on stuff you say. Now, listen very carefully because I was driving to Buffalo, New York. I'm a truck driver, and I didn't have time to talk to you about it because I had to take this load. But you said out of your mouth that Jose Ramirez is well-respected than LeBron. Okay, now –
I said he's more beloved.
You gotta look at,
I said he's more beloved.
Yeah, more beloved. Okay. Now you gotta look at the bigger picture here, Ken. Okay. So I'm gonna make this quick. Make this really quick. LeBron James came down to the Cavs, got drafted, went to the playoffs the second year. Once he left, right, went to Miami, we was probably winning about 15, 20 games. People was losing their jobs, Ken. They was losing their jobs at Quicken Loans Arena. I remember to the point when I went to the game, took my little nephew to the game.
I'm not. Well, hold on, Vaughn. No, but I know where you're going with it. I'm not saying he's more important or more popular or a bigger icon. I'm just looking at beloved by the general fan. That's all I'm looking at.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm getting at right there. He's probably beloved. You probably gave me that argument. You probably just say Cleveland, but he's not just beloved in just Cleveland. LeBron James would go to China and people would run up to him, know who he was. A lot of people not gonna know who Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, but I said
if you don't watch base. Yeah, but I just think you gotta understand another thing, beloved. Jose Ramirez, as much as I love him, I love Jose Ramirez, my top 5 guardians of all time. He finally showed up in the playoffs last year. The years before that, Jose Ramirez never really showed up in the playoffs.
But Vaughn, that's the entire point of it, though. I just said it. If I were – listen, if they're in the middle of the wild card of the divisional round, ALDS, right? And thank you for the call. If they're in the middle of the ALDS and he's 1 for 8 in the first 2 games of the series, there will be some calls, some groans here and there. They're not happy because their most important player, the most beloved player, only gets 8 shots at it over 2 games and he only has 1 hit, and they know he's the only guy that can do it. But in every other point of the world in life, Jose Ramirez is beloved by anybody who walks up and down Cleveland, Ohio. With LeBron, I could talk about LeBron at any time. Anytime I could say LeBron, and I will get people who absolutely love LeBron, including this show, and then there will be people who, he left. He left twice, can't stand him, hate him, can't stand him, whatever. LeBron is an icon. LeBron is undoubtedly more popular. That has never been said by me. When it comes to beloved, Jose Ramirez hasn't done anything to get on the bad side of a Guardians fan, of a Cleveland sports fan. It's not happened.
Only thing I've ever seen are some people that have dissected his playoff performances.
And in a sport, but
LeBron, you can't do that.
But when the playoffs end, all we do is we sit there and go, "Hey, he's only one guy. Like you need more guys." And who do they get mad at? They get mad at the ownership. They don't get mad at him. Yeah. The night they play the Yankees, and if he goes 1 for 8 and you're in an ALDS, you might be a little frustrated. Still love the guy. Who with LeBron, it's a totally different bag of worms there. Danny Cunningham, 720. I am open-minded to this person. You're still not making a great case for him. Who is it? I'll tell you in 5 on the Fan. I'll give you a great case right now for Northeast Factory Direct.
on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Get the latest Cavs news up until tip-off. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
Mary Kay Cabot, 8:20 this morning. Danny Cunningham just over 20 minutes away. We will talk to him. He was at the game last night, courtesy Locked On Cavs, 92.3 The Fan, the Inside Shot on Substack, as well as Cleveland Magazine. He'll be joining us. We'll be talking to him about what he saw last night in the James Harden. By the way, you said that Sarah knew who James Harden was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I texted Liz. I said, do not look it up when you wake up. I want to know if you know who James Harden is. She says, yes, he's the guy with the beard. He dated a Kardashian.
Yes.
They know because of the Kardashians. So he dated Khloe Kardashian is who she said she thinks he dated.
I did see the cheap seats.
There's a few of them.
The cheap seats last night, they were higher than what they had been over the last few months. They had kind of doubled. Now that means going from $13, $14, $15 to $30. But there has been a little boost. So I will be curious to see how that looks the rest of the year too, especially with all the tanking games, the teams they're playing.
So I'll tell you guys this. I'm open-minded to this guy. We had a big conversation about him yesterday. I'm open-minded to this person. I just you need to make a good case. Because my whole issue with this offseason is going to be time. Time matters. Money does not matter as much. I just don't want my time wasted. I don't want your time wasted as a Browns fan. I don't want my time wasted. And we're talking about the quarterback position. I mean, that's the most important one. There's a lot of things to get into when it comes to the postseason or to the offseason and other positions. Obviously, they're very, very important, but it's always going to come down to the quarterback. And Mary Kay is going to join us at 8:20 on whether or not Deshaun Watson has the inside track to be the Week 1 starter compared to what she wrote just a couple of days ago. But Ross Tucker, good football man, knows exactly what he's doing all the time, was on Afternoon Drive yesterday, and he said he's fascinated by the QB market.
I think what I'm most intrigued by now is who's the third quarterback and potentially even fourth that's in the mix with those guys. The names out there are kind of fascinating because they're names of guys that not that far away or not that long ago, I guess I should say, teams really, really committed to. You know, you think about Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, and Kirk Cousins, you know, on some level, Mac Jones. It's kind of fascinating what the veteran quarterback market is going to be like.
And then we get to what he says about Malik Willis here. And he does say he likes him in Todd Monken's offense. Here is Ross Tucker again, Afternoon Drive.
I wish that Todd Monken could get some time with Shedeur and Deshaun before they have to make these decisions. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way. I do like the idea quite a bit of Malik Willis running Todd Monken's Lamar Jackson-like offense. If they go out and get a veteran, I think that says a lot about how he feels about Deshaun Watson. If they don't get a veteran and they just wait until the draft, well, then that on some level tells you how he feels about Deshaun and Shedeur. If it's Malik Willis, then that tells us they don't think either Deshaun Watson or Shedeur can do it, because Malik Willis is going to get to your point about the Justin Fields contract. I think that's probably about right. It probably ends up being a Justin Fields situation where he actually proves he's not the guy. But I don't know, maybe it ends up being a Sam Darnold situation.
I mean, when he's saying more than likely going to end up being a Justin Fields situation, first off, when it comes to the contract, we're seeing more teams who need quarterbacks. There's less quarterbacks to have. That means the price goes up.
Yes.
Price goes up for Malik Willis.
The scarcity.
But when you're telling me that it's more likely, then I got to tell you, we got to line up some pro Malik Willis people wherever they're at. Because if you're telling me, I mean, Ross Tucker is a guy to tell it straight. If Ross is saying that, well, I wish he had some time, Monken had some time with Shedeur and Deshaun Watson before they make their decision. And if they go, well, these are things that we know. And I think that he's trying to tell us in no uncertain terms. And, yeah, maybe I end up being wrong, but I think he's trying to tell us in no uncertain terms that, he doesn't know if he would give all that to Malik Willis. He doesn't know if he would make that invest. And it's not about the money. I'm talking about time. Because if you invest in Malik Willis, you're unless it goes as bad as Justin Fields. And by the way, he said he'd be more likely to say it goes like Justin Fields. Unless it goes that badly, well, then what are you doing in 2027? Like, this is why I've been so strident about this, is I'm not interested in drafting a quarterback. I've told you, if it ain't going to be number 1 overall, and it ain't, if it ain't going to be them, I'm not interested in forcing it with Ty Simpson. I'm not interested in forcing it with anybody else in any other draft or any other round. I want to take a guy who's going to help me in another position. And if that means we're holding on to Dylan Gabriel, I mean, you're champing at the bit, so I'll shut up. But you know where I stand on this.
Yeah, and it's
give me good reasons to go out and get the guy. I don't care about the money. I care about the time.
This is amazing. We talk about like a perfect storm for Malik Willis. So people are totally befuddled as to how this happened. How is a guy who has started 6 career games? How is he now? It seems like every day there's a new report and it goes up $5 million. It's just we're talking about him. He hasn't played any more games, but the value, like some guys saying it was started at $20 million a year. Okay, now it's $25 million. Yesterday it was $30 million. So where is that coming from? All right, part of it's probably the agent. He's a free agent. How many quarterbacks get to free agency?
Not very many.
And why don't they get to free agency?
Because they're signed long term.
Because if they're really
franchise
good,
guys.
That's why Ross is saying most likely this is going to be Justin Fields. Because great quarterbacks don't get to free agency. How could they? How is anybody in the most important position in sports? Well, let's see what happened here. He was a total project coming out of college, but people salivated over that athleticism. He's built like a running back, and he has a cannon for an arm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rarity. Most of those guys don't even get the chance to play quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Just built like him, and the mixed track record coming out of college.
But you know what? I got to tell you, I got another guy he's got serious injuries under his belt, man. But I got another guy who's pretty well built.
Richardson?
No,
okay,
no.
That's the other
I got
one.
another guy. It's Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just.
He's got a bunch of injuries under his belt. I don't need to go.
Yeah.
I have no interest in going out and getting Anthony Richardson. I think that's a waste of time as well.
But you see, that's a similar
I have
project,
some interest
right?
in going out and getting Malik Willis. I just need somebody to give me great reasons to go out and get the guy.
So what happened with Malik Willis? Well, he washed out immediately in a terrible situation. He was awful.
I have not used that once agast him.
He was terrible.
Yep.
He also wasn't ready. He was a project.
No, he wasn't. Yes,
Much like, hey, you remember what they said about what at least reportedly and this is Jason Lloyd holds to this reporting. He has tripled down on the fact that the Browns were calling Shedeur Sanders a project developmental quarterback coming out, and that has obviously spurred a lot of debate.
Yeah, what you're saying.
But so how did this get here with Malik Willis? Is he then got to go to a situation where he got to develop, and how do you develop on the bench? It's not a developmental league. Well, when it's someone like him, Green Bay was like, we are going to actually work on your mechanics. We're going to work on your processing. We're going to work on your timing. And there is no rush to play you because we've got a quarterback.
They got Jordan Love.
So what happened? Jordan Love played. And then was it a concussion or what was it that forced him out? What kind of an injury was it? Either way, he comes in relief in one game on national television against the Bears that the whole country was watching, and boy, did he move the football. And then, boy, did he use that athleticism. Oh, now I need to convert some third downs. Okay, did that. Then he had to start the following week, and we're talking about Week 16 and Week 17, when every game is life or death for these teams that are in the middle of a playoff hunt, and then goes up against the Baltimore Ravens. And what did he total? Over 400 total yards. He lost.
Was good.
They lost.
I know,
but nobody
cared
cared that they lost in terms of all these desperate quarterback-needy teams because he showed he could, under pressure, take hits, deliver throws, then take off and run and look like Lamar Jackson in the process. So now it's perfect. It's like a tech startup that hasn't had any time on the market. People are speculating. What is he worth? What could he do? What if we had the great coaching? What if we had a good offensive staff to work with him? What could that look like? So this isn't Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson he's a free agent. Does anybody want Zach Wilson?
No, I've not
Why don't
said
they
his
want
name
him?
once.
They've seen him.
I'm
for
just not
30
interested in him.
But you've seen him. You've seen him for 30 starts.
We played for the Jets.
Yes. He's
yeah, I get what
unlike
you're saying.
Malik Willis, we haven't seen that.
Yes.
So, yes, is Ross Tucker right that most likely free agency quarterbacks who've washed out from one situation and the other team now they can't afford to pay 2 quarterbacks. They're not going to do it. Especially somebody who's going to be there, which is their quarterback.
Well, we're seeing more of these guys. So the experience has been usually the retreads don't work out. And it still would be that way 1 year,
Although
2 years,
the
or 3
NFL's
years.
starting to change.
But you are starting to see more.
Evolve. We just saw a retread win 3 times over, win a Super Bowl.
Yes, you are starting to see more. So it would displace Dylan Gabriel. I don't care about that. I don't think anybody else does. I don't think we've bandied about trades on this station. I don't know what you get for Dylan Gabriel. I don't know if you get anything. I mean, you probably just move on from him. When it comes to getting Malik Willis, you would do that if you get Malik Willis or you get somebody else to be your quarterback. I'm just focused so much on, and this is a very difficult thing to say because we all want to win as soon as possible and we want to maximize the time that we have with Myles Garrett. But I think we just need to face reality here, is that what are the chances that the quarterbacks that are on this roster do a really good job? I think they're probably small. I don't think that it was right, looking back in retrospect, to have Shedeur Sanders throwing to ball boys and trash cans and things like that. I think I'd like to see it. But I don't know if that's going to make it any better. So I have to invest, not even in the position, but I have to invest around the position because it's not as much investing in Shedeur, investing in Deshaun, even investing in any other quarterback. It's investing in the position as it is because I still got to get moving. And I want this season to mean something coming up. And if you're giving me Malik Willis and you can't give me real evidence from people who know him, I'm not against it. But if you can't give me evidence for him or Anthony Richardson or Mac Jones or any one of those other names, if you can't do it, then I'm going to be going pretty angry. I'm going to be getting pretty angry during the season because I don't want to be stuck in a purgatory. You're either getting better towards the postseason or we're getting ready to draft a guy. And we're getting ready to start this process again and hoping that it works again. I don't care about what contracts and what veterans that we have. Those veterans are signed, hell or high water, dealing with it. That's the way it's going to go. But with the way that this football team is structured, with the way that the league is still structured, even though it's changing a bit, I still have to make the best deal possible for my quarterback. And I still don't have a lot of people lining up to say, slam dunk, go after Malik Willis. I got Ben Solak, who says it. Ben Solak, I want to hear.
Well, how could anybody? He's only started 6 games. How could anybody say it's a slam dunk?
I just want to hear a former football
it's the same
player.
Thing. How could you say it with Mendoza? How could you say it with Cam Ward last year?
But those guys were drafted guys. One guy at least had the talent to be number 1 overall. This other guy's going to be in the draft. This guy has been in the NFL. Get me people who have been in a locker room, in with that team, in with that organization. I'm serious. Give me somebody in Tennessee who says, you know what, it really wasn't Malik Willis' fault, and let me tell you why. Like, I want to hear all that. Do that, because it's not money. I don't want to have to invest 2 more years and let possibly another draft class go because we're sitting out here grinding it out with quarterbacks that really don't matter. 216-474-0092. We'll debate this, obviously, later on. Coming up next, Danny Cunningham going to join us on the show. And later on, all Joey Porter did was tell you everything you already knew. I don't know why Steelers fans got mad at me for it yesterday. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
It's Anthony Lima.
our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew. It's the way it should be.
Head coach Kenny Atkinson talking about tough fans. Cavaliers won last night. How many have they won in a row now? 5? 5 in a row? Yeah, they think they've won 5 in a row now. And they're definitely
they're 9-1 in their last 10.
Yes, indeed.
And
It's been a hell of a time.
And they were playing lights out, let's be fair.
Even before.
To the guys that were there before Harden, they were playing lights out before they got him. And so sometimes you wonder, is it going to be disjointed when you bring in somebody with the usage of James Harden? And clearly.
They made sure to bring up, Jarrett had that 40-point game. That was before James Harden was on the roster. Yep. That was a big game for him.
Guy who was there in that room, Danny Cunningham. He joins us right now on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Danny Cunningham, Locked On Cavs, Cleveland Magazine, Inside Shot on Substack, also 92.3 The Fan. Danny, good morning to you. What was the energy in the arena like last night?
Good morning, guys. It did not feel like it was a normal Wednesday night game in February. I think oftentimes that final game prior to the All-Star break can be one where it's sleepy, where it can kind of have the energy of a preseason game at times. It did not feel like that. It felt to me like it was an elevated regular season game. Like I thought the crowd was very excited to see James Harden wearing a Cavs uniform in Cleveland for the very first time. Like it felt like last night was a big deal for this fan base, and the fact that they've been playing really, really good basketball is, Lima said, dating back before this trade, like they have been the best team in the NBA since December 29th in terms of record. I think that is starting to resonate with people, and I think the fact that this organization is very clearly all in has been appreciated by the fans, and I thought that was on display last night.
Danny, obviously, there is so much chatter about, like, what's the ceiling of this team? How different is it? Seems like the national guys, they might not have loved the thought of getting off the 26-year-old for the 36-year-old, but they all said their ceiling has clearly been elevated in the immediacy. So with all that said, like, he was asked yesterday, do they have the championship pieces? And he was like, yeah, and I actually haven't said that very often in my career. And that's coming from someone who's played with some of the greats in the game.
Yeah, I was surprised, and not surprised that he said they have the championship pieces, because I do think everyone in that locker room believes that. And even Donovan was asked after the game, too, is this the most talented team you've ever been on? And, I mean, both of those guys have made the playoffs in every single year of their career. And Donovan said this is now the most talented team that he's been on. And think about how good last year's team was. Think about how good some of the teams in Utah were for Donovan. And for James, I mean, he's been in the playoffs for 16 straight seasons. Now, not all of those playoff appearances have been created equally, but for the fact that him to be here for now 3 games to not practice and to immediately say, yes, we feel like we can win a championship, I do think that says a lot. And I think it was very telling of him to say that he hasn't always felt like that. So to get that kind of honesty and that kind of belief out of a guy is, I think, a very impressive thing. Like, I came away, I thought James was very enlightening when he spoke last night after the game. I wasn't sure what to expect as far as that went, but he seemed very open and honest about things, and I think he's going to be a really, really good thing for this Cavs locker room, because I do think that the belief in that room has certainly been lifted, and I don't think that James and Donovan are the only guys that feel the way that their comments indicated last night.
Have you ever seen a trade that was this disliked, the possibility of it was this disliked by the fan base, and then loved this quickly? Like, we brought this up last week before the trade happened, when the story first broke, like, hey, they're snooping around and maybe they're going to make a trade with Darius Garland. I mean, we had calls, couple we had to dump. There's some people were upset. And now it's like, man, it's like this guy's been a Cavalier his entire career. It was a celebration last night.
No, I can't think of one, because I think of all of the trades that the Cavs have made that have led to winning, and they've all been really good moves, and they've all been moves that I think were immediately applauded. Like, last year, nobody was upset when the Cavs traded, and this is obviously a much different level, but nobody was upset in terms of the fan base when they traded Karis LeVert and George Niang for DeAndre Hunter. Nobody was upset years ago when they traded for J.R. Smith and Amon Shumpert. I mean, maybe you could say people were upset when they traded Anderson Varejao for Channing Frye, but this is on just such a different level of things because you're talking about all-star play. You traded a two-time all-star for a guy that is one of the top 75 players in all time. But it's not just that Garland was a two-time all-star. It's that he was the longest tenured guy on this roster. And I think that is part of the reason why, like, there was an attachment there with fans. But I think if you've watched the way the Cavs have played, like, they look like a championship caliber team right now in a way that 10 days ago, even though, as we mentioned, they were playing really good basketball, they didn't look like this. They look like a team that is now capable of beating anybody, and I'm not sure that was the case before.
Danny, obviously it's impossible to know what Donovan Mitchell really thought behind the scenes when it came to Darius and their ceiling with him versus what he thinks about James Harden. But it does seem like if it's the new car smell or whatever it is, it does feel like Donovan, if you're a body language expert, Danny, and I know you are, it does seem like Donovan feels like this team has a shot.
Oh, absolutely. Because, I mean, and he has had an incredible season, right? Like, all of this aside, I think this is the best basketball he's ever played. But I do think that the weight that he was having to carry on a night in, night out basis was starting to weigh on him. Like, think about how bad the Cavs were offensively when he would not be on the floor for them. Like, they resembled one of the worst teams in basketball from an offensive perspective when he would be sitting on the bench. And I just think he knew, like, where is this going, right? Like, he's in the prime of his career, playing the best basketball of his career. And before this trade, I do wonder how realistic he thought they had at winning a championship. And now I think he believes it's very realistic. I think everybody in that locker room thinks it's very realistic. And there is, we have spent part of this season talking about, like, the team playing sort of joyless or soulless basketball, and those things seem to be back. And it's only been 3 games with Harden in the lineup, and they have to do it in the postseason. Like, if they do this for the final 27 games of the regular season and then flame out in the playoffs again, like, this whole thing's a failure because this is all about May and June. But what the early returns have been is, like, this is what a championship team is supposed to look like. And I think that you are seeing that with the way guys are going about their business now, and Donovan Mitchell is certainly at the top of that list.
How big is this game now on the 22nd against OKC, just because you have so many teams that are tanking?
I think it's very big from a perspective of we are going to see what the Cavs look like against the favorites. And we are going to see, too, because there are very limited matchups left where we can really figure out who the Cavs are. They have more games against teams that are tanking than any other team in the league remaining. They have the second easiest schedule in the Eastern Conference, and they're going to, in my opinion, get up to the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference by the time this is all said and done. But we only have so many more matchups to know, okay, what do they look like against OKC? They play them one more time. Like, it's a big game because of that. The game against Boston when the Celtics come to Cleveland in March, that's a big game just because we don't know what it's going to look like when they take on the Celtics because they're a different team now. Same thing with the Knicks. Like, this is something that we are going to have to figure out exactly in real time how they match up with all these teams. And doing so on the fly, I think, is going to be a fun exercise.
Danny Cunningham joining us right now. So, in watching, like, Sam Merrill, spring loose last night and hit all the shots that he did and kind of stealing the show in a way from James Harden, I thought to myself, all right, we've seen Jared Allen continue to get better and better looks. Not that he didn't get good looks playing with Darius, because he did, but it seems like those passes are even more on the money, ready for Allen to corral right into the basket. Same thing with Sam Merrill last night, where it looked like Harden had made up his mind, I'm just going to get the kid going and keep it going. So how much do they appreciate and love that? And have you noticed that and started to think, what does that mean for Evan Mobley?
Yes, I have. And I am curious from a Mobley perspective, too, like, how does James look playing alongside 2 bigs? Because that is kind of the one thing he hasn't done in his career. So that, I think, is one of the more fascinating things from the X's and O's perspective of the rest of the season. But Jared Allen is going to have, I think, the best 2.5 months or however long it is until the playoffs of his career. James Harden is going to make him so much better than any other big that he has played with, or any other guard, that he has played with in his career. Like, he is going to be awesome. And I know he had that 40-point game against Portland when James Harden was still on the Clippers. Like, I understand that he's been playing good basketball regardless of Harden lately. But I just think that he's going to be at another level. And I think Sam Merrill is going to benefit from James tremendously, too. Like, he's not going to go out there and make 9 threes every night. Like, nobody's expecting that. But the way that they're able to get him open looks is going to be different. Like, there was one three-pointer that he hit, I believe it was in the second quarter last night, where they give the ball to Harden in the mid-post because they can do that because he's 6'5". He's a big guard. Like, he can operate from different areas on the floor than where Darius Garland could operate. So they can run Sam Merrill off of a Jared Allen pin down and pitch him the ball basically from the mid-post for an open three. Like, those are things they really couldn't do before James Harden. I think that this is adding a level of creativity to their offense, and I think that Allen and Merrill are two guys that are going to benefit tremendously from it.
Danny Cunningham joining us on the show, Locked On Cavs podcast. Hey, this is different, but do you think Jason Tatum will be playing for the Celtics if we meet them in the postseason?
Oh, right now my gut would say no, but I can't say for sure one way or another. Like, I think that it's a tough thing for a star to come back from that injury and not be themselves. And I do think that ultimately he's going to go through practices. And like, when we see that he goes through a practice, like, oh man, he must be close to returning. I don't know that that's always the case. Like, think about it this way. And I know these two players are not the same caliber of guy because Tatum is more highly regarded than Jamal Murray. But when Jamal Murray had his torn ACL a few years back, and then he comes back and he practices and people are thinking, oh, he might play. And then no, he's going to sit out the rest of the year. I think my thoughts on this is that Jason Tatum is probably going to miss the entire season, and he will come back in October when the season begins and look like Jason Tatum again. Because if he comes back in the end of March, he's probably not going to look like Jason Tatum, and I don't know how much good that does.
Danny Cunningham. Danny, enjoy your flight. All the very best to you and yours, and we'll talk to you again shortly.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
The great Danny Cunningham, at Real D Cunningham on Twitter, on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline, from Locked On Cavs, Cleveland Magazine, Inside Shot on Substack, and 92.3 The Fan, joining us on the show to talk about this Cavs teams and their chances to win an NBA championship. James Harden, he was asked that question last night. Listen very closely to the answer James gives on whether or not they got the pieces to do it all.
Yeah. Yes. And you can't really say that. I don't know how many times I've really said that throughout the course of my career, but given the depth, given the shooting, the athleticism, the versatility that we have, yes.
I mean, if he calls it a business, I usually have said this in a negative connotation. Like when they traded for Deshaun Watson, I was like, listen, this is a business relationship with Browns fans. I think that there's a lot of people who are not very happy about the trade. But if he gives them what they want, then we'll move on. But I think with this, it's like with James Harden, it's like, hey, he's the one who talks about it being a business. We're very happy to have him here. I don't know if it has to be a championship. I think they're very hard to do. I think Oklahoma City's a very difficult team to play. And we'll find out a little bit more coming up later in the month. But I tell you what, if you get them to the NBA Finals, it's like, how can I hate any of these guys? I can't. I know that it ain't going to end very well. I get all that coming into this. But when you have a guy who's saying, yeah, they have the pieces to win a championship, I don't know if he's going to sit there and go, absolutely not. I don't know why I'm here. But at the same time, I think, yeah, it's encouraging to hear that from a guy you just traded for about where this team can go.
Well, you think about the teammates that he has had throughout the course of his career. We're talking about, KD and Russell Westbrook and Kyrie and Embiid. And so for him to say, like, I'm with you. He, of course, is going to say, yeah, to any team he would have been traded to. They would have watched the Wizards. He would have said that. But the fact that he did...
I don't think the question would have been asked, but
not.
Either way.
Probably not. Nobody would have been there. But the fact that he did say, I haven't always thought that with some of the teams. Like, it's one thing to have, superstars, but I think it's pretty clear the NBA has changed.
Yeah.
Where just having the superstars, just ask Milwaukee with Giannis. Just ask the Clippers with Kawhi, who's not always available, and James Harden. Like, it's also, you got to have a pretty good formula to win the title, and you got to have a lot less flaws than maybe you used to be able to get away with. And the Cavs, what are their flaws right now? You may say wing and wing depth. Okay, maybe offense, they're getting killed on the glass. We'll see what happens when Mobley comes back. But I can look at every team and find some flaws, including Oklahoma City. And so I think right now, James Harden, his eyeballs were as big as they ever were yesterday while he was being asked. I think it's because he's starting to think, Could I change some things with my legacy in Cleveland?
Mary Kay coming up at 8:20. At 8 o'clock, I have to tell you something that I know is the truth, even though I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to hate it, and I don't want to agree with it. That will be coming up at 8:01.
much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
Embarrassing. We got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0, no one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him, how he couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
So you're talking about honesty with James Harden earlier in the show?
Yep.
We got some honesty with a former teammate of Ben Roethlisberger. Big fan of this. So this is courtesy of the Not Just Football podcast with Cam Hayward. This is Joey Porter Jr. On his thoughts on Big Ben.
7 definitely broke the brotherhood because, like, the that 7 dude that we don't talk about
I know.
is crazy. Like out of anybody should talk, he should never grab a microphone and really talk Steeler business. Yeah. Because if we talking Steeler business, his ass is foul of all foul. He's not a good teammate. Won a Super Bowl with him, but the person, he's just not a good teammate. Like, he knows that. Anybody in the Steeler building knows that. But we protected him because I've only won 1 Super Bowl, and that was my quarterback. So do I love my quarterback? Yeah, but is he a good person? No.
All right, that's first off. I got to clarify. That's Joey Porter Sr. He's Big Joey.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, because there's Kenneth Walker III, Kenneth Walker Jr. So that's Joey Porter Sr. And all he did was confirm what people have known. And I said that yesterday, and of course Steelers fans got in. I'm just telling you guys the truth of what you all know. You could rip all the Browns quarterbacks you want. I understand you want a Super Bowl, but again, it accentuates football's the ultimate team game, and maybe Am I jealous? I don't know if that's the term for it. I just don't think that. I see a lot of quarterbacks. That fans don't like, and they do their damnedest to be good teammates, leaders, the Pied Piper, the guy that's supposed to be it, even if they ain't got it in them. And to have basically an entire career where you were sitting there going, kiss my ass, I'm going to do it my way. I don't care what my teammates think. I don't care what my coaches think. Yeah, you can call yourself an offensive coordinator. I'm calling it. If you don't like it, the hell with you. I know who I am. To have a guy do that and still win 2 Super Bowls, it really upsets me. It really upsets me.
It kind of just speaks to how incredible his career really is when he was able to do that and be a bad teammate, a bad person, according to the people. But how about Diana Rossini just sitting there going, yep. I'd have to be like in a follow-up. All right, Diana Rossini, what do you know? You never played with him. Why is he such a bad person?
She was so emphatically saying yes. Yeah. I go, do you agree, or were you doing the thing where I say, like you're getting ready for the next thing, and so you just say yeah to try to move the person on? And I go, yeah, do you know what you're saying yeah to? I assume Diana Rossini knows the NFL inside and out.
She knows a lot.
So I had assumed she was agreeing with with Joey Porter Sr. Maybe James Harden would say it for all I know. I think she had to be agreeing with Joey Porter Sr. on that.
Well, and also one of the things that sticks out to me, there's 2 things. First off is when he talks about, Ben Roethlisberger shouldn't be talking about Steeler business. Is that like also, because I mean, he's done some podcasts and appearances since retiring. Is he also referring to that as well? That like, hey, you weren't that great in the locker room. Yeah, we won with you, but please stop talking about us.
As far as, he's got that podcast. He's very opinionated. He's never stuck by his opinions. He said it was time for Mike Tomlin to go weeks before Mike Tomlin actually went, and then they cornered him in the building because they had a celebration for, again, one of the Super Bowls that he won where everybody hated him. And he walked those words back, out of context, that type of thing. So I don't trust him in that way. It is an odd relationship, though, because I know one of his former teammates very well that's still very close with him. Like, talks on the phone daily, and it's a very weird thing. And he's like, yeah, I know a lot of people hate him. I know. It's like, okay.
And then the one other thing that stuck out to me about that is because one of the things that I kind of have a pet peeve on is when you have a guy in the locker room that's not very popular among fans, and then other teammates will speak positively or neutrally about whatever teammate it is, and then fans are like, see, he's not a bad guy. His teammates no. His teammates are just not going to trash talk them publicly while they are still teammates. Mm-hmm. So that's not a defense that can be used anymore, and I'm very sick of that defense being used.
Okay, I like that. Continue.
So the Seahawks had their Super Bowl parade yesterday in downtown Seattle. A few things came out of that. For one, they don't know how many people showed up because there are some media outlets. Well, the Department of Transportation in Seattle was saying that there were 750,000 people. The public health social media account in King County was saying that it was 1 million people, and a lot of headlines are running with 1 million people. So
go with the higher number. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it 750,000? Was it 1 million? I don't think we'll ever know.
These things are really hard to calculate.
Lima finds a way.
Somehow, some way, we were
so
able
Lima
to do it.
goes and individually counts every single person. That's what he did for the Cavs parade, right?
Well, we do what they do. You learn this very early.
Like counting the jelly beans in a jar?
Well, it's very primitive. Like if we were to count how many people were in this room, I go 1, Owen.
2,
Meredith.
3,
Ken.
4.
So
sorry.
I did that.
Well, I want to redo
2016.
it because Ken said 2 when I was supposed to say 2.
Well,
so
don't
that
double
means
count.
there's 6.
Well,
who's to know?
And then all of a sudden you just end up with
1.3 million.
What if
1.3 million people?
1.3 million.
1.3 million.
1.3 million.
1.3 million people show up.
1.3 million.
It's one of your greatest achievements.
Alex Trebek said 1.3 million in a clue.
Are you getting buried or are you getting cremated?
funny you bring that up.
Celebrated his favorite NBA team winning the championship with how many of your friends? I'm going to assume we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes, sir.
All right.
About 1.3 million of them.
Wait a minute. Whoa. How did that happen?
Well, the Cavs won the NBA title. It was the first Cleveland championship in 50 plus years. So the city was very excited. So
you're calling all of these other people your friends?
On that day they were, absolutely.
Okay, good for you.
Audio courtesy of Viacom, yes.
So I think that they ran with the highest number. It sounds like they just didn't get their ducks in order. We knew they had to be counted. The people had to be counted. They thought, let's celebrate in the merriment and the championship celebration. And they forgot, we actually have to figure out how many people were here.
The next event, can we tell a story behind that?
Yeah.
Our next listener event? Okay.
Sure.
But I should ask, are you getting cremated or buried?
I don't know.
Because if you have a headstone, it should be on your headstone.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, hell yes.
I was wondering where you were going with that, Ken. My goodness.
That is think about that. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Just 1.3 million on the headstone?
Say whatever you want.
Listen, I'm not responsible. The 1.3 million people that showed up are responsible.
A lot of people in Cleveland media are proud of their careers. There's one guy who actually goes down in Cleveland history for a good thing, and it's him. It's Tone. Go ahead, Meredith.
Okay, so the other thing that came out of the Super Bowl parade is that the schools didn't close down yesterday, and students were told that absences would not be accepted for going to the parade, but still there were, this is according to a report from Pro Football Talk, 13,000 absences from students, almost 700 absences from teachers yesterday.
So
I love that. The teachers are like, yeah, you kids can go to school. I know where I'm going to be.
I'm pro-teacher.
When my finally
kids...
someone's about to say it.
Yes.
I've been waiting. He also likes nurses, likes law enforcement.
Where do you stand on firefighters?
Kenny makes no bones. Veterans he's big on. Really big, especially on Veterans Day.
I think there's one veteran in particular in this room right now I'm not too very fond of, but other than that.
Oh, who's that, Ken?
You.
Okay.
Okay. I hate you. God, why? Why? Why do you got to do it? Oh, so you're against the teachers?
He's big on
Are you
the
against
people
the
working
teachers?
on the roads, sanitation.
Everybody in Bay, all you teachers in Bay schools. Hey, is Anthony Lima against the teachers?
Are you for the people who try and stop others from walking on the ice on Lake Erie?
I hate you. Not you, him. I hate him.
I got a lot of stories sent to me.
I thought I was included in that too. But
I got a
that's okay.
lot of stories sent to me about that yesterday.
Yeah. And that's how the guy in It's a Wonderful Life has his trick ear. He fell on the ice saving his brother. I want to do that. Mr. Gower was beating the brakes off of him. It was a bad day. All right, Meredith, thank you very much. I said something I had to dump right there. Coming up at 8:20, what changed in 2 months where Deshaun Watson was never going to play for the Browns ever again to now he might start week 1? We got to ask Mary Kay about that coming up at 8:20. And I got to tell the truth about Andrew Berry, even when I don't want to accept it.
It's Anthony Lima for Van Scoy Hair.
Obviously going to the parade.
So go to the parade. Parents, if you have the...
Just eat it.
Just
but
go.
Here's the problem.
Just go.
As a parent.
And if it costs the kid a letter grade, if it costs them something, so what? So what?
Here's the letter grade. What if you call in and go, my kid's got the sniffles today. They're sick. I mean, do you have to explain to them what kind of sickness they have?
We'd need a doctor's excuse. And my doctor's excuse is this.
It's a hell of a clip. I took something else out of it. You guys are just gonna do raspberries for the rest of the morning.
That's it. That's the rest of the week.
All right. I was gonna say, and then you guys started making fun of me. I'm pro
We'd
teacher.
need a doctor's excuse. And my doctor's excuse is this.
So
the teacher says, hey, I got this doctor's excuse in front of me. What do you make of this when he goes over to the assistant principal? Is that excused? Stop. How do we mark that down? Secretary, how do we get that in the system?
Hold on.
Wait a second. That's the 8th one of...
Here we go.
You get to number 9. It's like Draymond Green.
Let this thing go in the gutter.
And you know, it's fitting. Look what I'm
Did you
wearing.
want to do something, Ken?
Look what I'm wearing today. It's very fitting.
Oh, wow. Your Jeff Phelps Memorial hoodie.
In the early 2000s, my buddy got himself a Mitsubishi Eclipse and he put a new muffler on it. It sounded like that.
Had trouble getting up that hill.
Too fast. Too furious. I'm too fast for you. Damn me. Damn it. Can I make a point here,
Go ahead.
please?
Yes, please.
We'll see.
Get us on track.
A whole letter grade? I would take my kid out. I would probably have to try to threaten one of the dream team or all of the dream team if you were threatening an entire letter grade. It depends, all right? Let me be honest here. 2 of my 3 sons, we'll see if they go to college. My 3rd son, congratulations on all my success. That my 3rd son, they've actually said, like, he's really bright. I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah. Like, he's above the whole thing. We're having trouble keeping him in order because he gets bored very quickly. And so if it was like, all right, the Browns just won the Super Bowl, all the Carmans are going. If they were to threaten a letter grade, like if he was getting into a prestigious school or something like that, I don't know, man. Maybe I'd send his ass to school. I have to tell you.
No chance.
If they were
It's
like,
a parade.
if they were just
Come
like but I'm saying, if they were just like the old man and they were going to Akron, or they were just like Liz and they're going to Youngstown State or something, it's like, yeah, letter grade, whatever, they're coming to the parade. But if a letter grade was a difference between, I mean, you'd probably still get to go to a great school, but it's like, well, you know, Harvard watches everything, Yale watches everything.
I think you explained it away in your essay. You know, hey, you have to write an essay to get the Browns job. Well, to get into Harvard, you got to write an essay, and you say, look, I had a perfect attendance record going until my team won the Super Bowl, and then come on, and there's my excuse.
And you needed 1,500 letters. Let me put 17 Fs in here.
You would take him even though it was a letter grade and your kid was really smart?
Yeah, here's the
Izzy's going to be really smart. You can already tell.
I always laughed. The biggest lie ever perpetrated against the high school student to try to keep us in line was,
yeah, here we go.
Anthony, this will go in your permanent record. Upon graduation, I said, where's that permanent record?
That doesn't matter.
Where's that permanent? I got suspended like 6 times in high school. Where's that permanent record?
They eventually lost it when you transferred schools so many times in college.
That's true.
But no, I have.
You went to 3 different schools.
They lost.
Like the Dylan Raiola of just going to school.
I have one that's got a very high GPA. I'll just say that. It's very high.
Oh, yeah.
He would not, if I told him, like, hey, we're going to go do this parade thing, he'd be like, I'm not going. I think kids that are trying to get to those levels of an Ivy League school, they're just going, no, I'm not sacrificing years of hard work for that.
That's what I'm saying. I'd probably have to go. Like, I just feel like
freeze my ass.
I feel like I'd be the Homer Simpson and the Lisa Simpson situation. Like, come with us, Jonah, and he'd be like, nah, we're good.
Oh, I definitely would be antagonizing them.
Jonah would be like, I'll pick you up when you're drunk when I come in after school. And I'd be like, you know what, Jonah? Good idea, bud.
If they're middle schoolers, yeah. I don't care about the letter grade then. That
That's
doesn't matter.
true. Total, yeah. But if it's like, well, he's a junior in high school and he's about to apply for all that stuff, it's like, you got to do what you got to do, man. Hate to be like that. Hate to be that way. Can I tell you something? I got to tell you guys the truth, even though I don't want to accept this. Guys, I don't want to accept this. I do not want to accept this. We have a 6-year program with this football team that has not gone. Defensively, it's actually gone pretty decently, okay? Offensively, it's been a total disaster. Train wreck, Hindenburg, whatever you want to call it. I can't have. I just know I'm going to get just dragged all over the place when I say this. But I got to tell you guys the truth. I don't want to accept this. And maybe I'll ask Mary Kay, even though I got to ask her what the hell's changed in 2 months when it comes to Deshaun Watson, where now you might start this season. I can't have Andrew Berry doing things for his job this year. I know a lot of us are thinking, well, if it doesn't go well, we'll just get rid of Andrew Berry. I know a lot of people wanted it to happen in one fell swoop. And frankly, if you were going to get rid of one in Kevin Stefanski, I really think you probably should have just started fresh. Now, I think that there is reasons and plausible reasons why Jimmy Haslam and ownership decided to hold on. I think they look for people they trust, and they trust Andrew. I think that the early years with Joe Banner and the goofiness that he had, I think that really stuck with them, and they need people they trust. And I think that set a very, 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 very bad way to start things off, and I think they remember that. But he's a general manager. It's a long-term deal. He can't be making silly, crazy-ass moves to try to save his job in 1 year. Look at this roster, you guys. Like, I got people getting mad about all this, and they're like, Ken, where? I'm like, guys, I'm just trying to be honest. Like, I got people. There's one guy wanting to bet me about the Browns' record. I'm like, first off, I'm not going to bet against the Browns. Second of all, I'm not going to bet against some Yahoo on the internet. That's not going to happen. I want the Browns to do well. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that this is a 4 to 6 win team this year. And I don't want Andrew Berry, if he knows it's a 4 to 6 win team, doing crazy, silly things that are going to cost us long term just to try to hot shot this season now in a vain attempt to save his job. Like, you guys don't like this, and I don't like telling you this. There's nothing in these 6 years that would tell me that years 8 would be guaranteed, because you're going into the 7th and you're going into the 8th, right? There would be nothing that would tell me during that time that you should be guaranteed that spot. But the only thing I can think of is that your job is to plan the long-term success of the franchise. If you're planning the long-term success, but you're worried about the now, I can't have you worried about the now. I'm sorry. It's not what I want to tell you. It's the truth of the matter. I have to guarantee him 2 years until I can't guarantee him 2 years.
Well, I will say, and it's a comment I'm going to keep coming back to, when they unveiled Monken as the head coach, and we finally got to hear from Andrew Berry since he decided not to grace us with his presence last year while things were falling apart in record time. He did say, hey, young teams don't win in this league. We're going to be young. We're not really going to go after a bunch of free agents. Now, he didn't say it like I just said it. It was a very logical Andrew Berry kind of telling you the sensible way that things work in the NFL.
I think a lot of people are going to be really disappointed next month.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, remember, we just had a young team in the Super Bowl.
But I've just seen these free agent wish lists real quick on the internet. And I'm like, man, I just think a lot of you guys are going to be really disappointed with what they don't get in free agency. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I just keep coming back to that, and I wonder if Jimmy Haslam signed off on that. Like, we're not going to do silly, reckless, hey, we've got to go get a bunch of high-priced free agents or whatever we can within the confines of the salary cap. We're not going to do that right now. That's not where we are as a team. And I think, by the way, most people would understand that. They won't understand it during the year because that's football fans. You never understand it.
Understood.
But, like, in terms of building the team up properly, like, this is not a team that should be trying to pounce. This should not, to use Mary Kay's Super Bowl window
That's
thing.
what I'm saying.
Like, nobody thinks they're a Super Bowl team this year.
Exactly. And if I'm Jimmy, I could look at it and go, your job's fine, your job's secure. Because I don't need you doing silly. Now, you could always just spike it, you're the owner. But let's go under, like, hey, you're the general manager, you're the one in charge. And I know they've tried that before. So what I'm saying is not a complete dreamland. Act as if you have all the time in the world. set this thing up properly. You can get to the end of the year and still say bye-bye. Because the way I'm looking at this is that you still need, if you're going to bring in somebody else, you still need an attractive situation. I still need money coming off the books. I still need young guys that we can play with, like we've gotten in this last draft. I still need that. So I still want this set up. If I tell him that it's this year or never, it's put up or shut up, coming off of 2 seasons of 8 wins total, I'm setting this thing up for a complete disaster, and then I'm setting them up to do things that is going to make this job even less desirable in the future, because now you're just going to continue to rob Peter to pay Paul. You'll bring in expensive free agents on the offensive line, which I'm terrified of. You know why. They'll bring in other people that they'll make other crazy moves, giving up picks, giving up the future to try to hotshot this thing to make it a playoff team now. And I want to know because this is your quote. I'm going to use your own quote, not against you, but I love this quote. A bad team makes the playoffs every year. A bad team makes the playoffs every year. A team that people go, they were part of a bad division, or there were some injuries that they were able to take advantage of. A team that's not very serious for the future makes the postseason every year. So I have to not just make the postseason, I want to feel like I'm going to make the postseason every year. And even if they were to make the postseason, I don't know if I would feel that way.
And
unless all these young guys were to be playing exceedingly well.
And look, that happened in New England, right? Didn't that kind of happen? I know they did spend money last year. You start to look at some of these teams that can actually advance in the playoffs that are, have some youth to it.
Yes.
But how many rookies did they play last year? And we looked at it when they played that graphic, because that's all they had every year, the networks every week when they were doing the Browns games. Look at all these instant contributors. Well, part of that is you're a terrible football team. You need young contributors. You had draft capital like these guys should play. And they did, and they played well. So Andrew Berry knocked one out of the park. He's got a whole bunch of new draft picks that are coming in. They're also going to play. Well, typically those teams don't win in the NFL. They just don't.
Do you understand where I'm coming from, though, when I say all this?
I also think you said something you kind of snuck in there, which is, the owner could just come in and spike things. I mean,
well, you can.
That could happen. They might, by design, say,
no one believes
Andrew Berry's got another 4 years here. But if they end up going 2-15, I think everybody's getting cleaned out again.
But I need him to be under the impression. I don't want to lie to the guy. I want him to be able to. I want to believe that he's going to keep the job, because I don't want to sit there and keep looking for guys. Yeah. But I'll say it with this. I'm not trying to lie. I have to do what's best for the franchise. If I put him under the microscope and say that you have this year and that's it, I think that they will. I think it's in any person's human nature to act desperately to hold on to a job, especially because, a lot of coaches can get a second chance to be a head coach. There's not very many second chances for general managers. So this might be the one crack at it. And if he's desperate to hold on to that position, you could do some really silly, desperate things that cost us long term. Told you, time is everything to me this offseason. 216-474-0092. I will get to some of those people coming up here in a bit. However, I got to tell you why you're going to have to be open to Deshaun Watson. No, you know what? Mary Kay, with her article, she's going to tell you why you have to be open to Deshaun Watson, even though it seemed like they were never, ever going to play him again just 2 months ago. What the hell has changed? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Mary Kay will explain it next on The Fan. K&K Heating.
Team USA with another match coming up later on this afternoon as they will take on Sweden. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
It's amazing what a change in uniform can do for a guy. If James Harden would have said this 3 weeks ago, I would have totally disagreed. And now I have to call out my own hypocrisy coming up at 9 o'clock. However, let's go to the Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. We got to talk about the Browns. Mary Kay joins us right now from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Mary Kay Cabot, I should say, joins us right now. Mary Kay, good morning. What is the percent chance that Deshaun Watson is the Week 1 starter for our Cleveland Browns?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if I can put an exact percentage on it, but I would say right now the chances are probably somewhere around 40%. I think the thing to remember here with both Todd Monken and Andrew Berry is that they have both said that they are open to bringing in a quarterback from the outside. So we don't really know yet what's going to happen in the draft, free agency, a trade. But right at the moment, he's right in the thick of it with, I would say it would be Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson competing for that starting job right now. And then we'll see whoever else comes on board.
Mary Kay, you had some reporting in your piece about Deshaun Watson, who looks like he's getting back to work. He's got the videos coming out again. And, you know, they had those 3 weeks last year where he was able to get some workouts in, but not with the actual squad, right? Like he wasn't getting, you know, first or second team reps or any of that. So in that window, you said that you had heard from some people in the building that he was actually the best QB that was on the field. Is there anything you can elaborate from that?
Well, first of all, he did get some quality reps during those 3 weeks. He was running some scout team and doing some other things so that they could see what he was all about, what his arm looked like, what his agility, his footwork looked like. So he did get some quality reps during that time. And just from a physical ability, from a talent standpoint, from an arm talent, from a, drop back, just the whole picture, he looked to some people as the most talented quarterback on the field. And that shouldn't be that surprising. He is a 3-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time, 3-time Pro Bowler. He was an elite quarterback before all these injuries and surgeries and suspensions and all of that. So it was significant to hear that and for them to see that. And I think it's what they wanted to know in those 3 weeks, what he was going to look like so that they could plan for their future. And I think he passed the test with flying colors to the point where he will get a chance to compete for the job.
It just seemed like a couple months ago, like a lot of folks didn't believe that it was really ever going to happen again. This has nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders and maybe not being ready to play Week 1 or not ready to start Week 1, I should ask?
Well, Shedeur might be ready to play Week 1 and start Week 1. He absolutely might be. And I think everyone can agree that he should be much better when he has a better supporting cast. When they bolster that offensive line, when they add to the weapons, that he should be better. Plus, he'll have a whole offseason with the first team. He'll be working out, I'm sure, even in his own time with other guys, with receivers on the football team right now. So he's going to be a lot better than he was last year, too. So I think it will actually be a really, really good competition. And again, it will be interesting to see what they do in the draft and other areas of QB acquisition.
Well, obviously, the injuries are a big part of his story since he came to Cleveland. But the hard part to understand what happened with him is how was he just so ineffective at all the things that he used to be great at, before his time off and before all the issues legally. Like, he didn't look like the same quarterback, Mary Kay, that I salivated over, that a third of the league wanted to go after, that the Browns gave the guaranteed money to. So I feel like we have two questions about Deshaun Watson. Number one is the health with all the surgeries and everything. But number two is, why was he so bad anyway when he came to Cleveland?
Well, certainly you have to wonder, can he get back to the level that he was at in 2020? Because for the most part, obviously, we have not seen that here. We saw flashes and glimpses. We saw it when he came out of the locker room in Baltimore, went 14 for 14, and helped them win that game 33-31. And Todd Monken was on the opposite sideline for that as well. But here's why. First season, the Browns thought that suspension would be 4 games, maybe 6, and he got 11. So when he came back, that was basically a wash. That season was mostly down the tubes. And then you get to the next season, and he suffered a shoulder injury in week 3. He was never the same after that. He was never the same. They have said that the fractured shoulder wasn't related necessarily to the labrum issue in the beginning of the season, but it seems to me that perhaps there was some kind of connection, even if he was favoring it or whatever the case may be. I don't know exactly how that all went down, but from week 3 on, he was not himself. And I mean, right after that initial injury in week 3, he could not even lift his arm. And then you fast forward to that Baltimore game, and you find out afterwards that he has to have surgery for a fractured shoulder. So that season was basically a wash because of the shoulder injury. Then you get to the next season, and they tried to install an offense that nobody was ready for, that Ken Dorsey ended up being let go after that season. Nobody even practiced that offense in training camp. So many guys were injured. The tackles were injured. David Njoku was injured. Nick Chubb was injured in the beginning of the season. And it just wasn't ready to be rolled out there, that new offense that they were trying. And he did not look good, but also I don't think his shoulder was healthy yet. I think he would tell us now that he wasn't healthy yet from a shoulder surgery standpoint in the beginning of the season. I watched some things in training camp that led me to believe that he wasn't 100% ready. And then he ruptures his Achilles. So I think that explains the situation with him. And maybe he can never get back to 2020 form. Maybe he can never get back to elite form or Pro Bowl form or even close to it. But they're willing to give it a try. And as Todd Monken said, he's intrigued by that notion.
What about Malik Willis? Have you heard anything about him? We've been doing an awful lot of talking about him lately.
You know, I like Malik Willis. I've always liked Malik Willis. In fact, I think I've said this maybe on your air that when I went to the Senior Bowl in 2022, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to Malik Willis, even one-on-one. I watched him operate. I watched him practice, did some due diligence on him, and I came away believing that the Browns should draft him in the first round that year and just develop him. And I wrote a column saying that, actually. And that was, of course, the year that they traded for Deshaun Watson. And I was kind of surprised that the Steelers didn't take Malik Willis. Anyways, fast forward to now, and I do think that he is the exact kind of quarterback that Todd Monken would probably love to work with. He prefers a dual-threat quarterback. But I'm also hearing that he's probably more likely to end up in Miami, that they are going to make a strong push for him. And I don't know if he is a strong possibility for Cleveland. He's also represented by David Mulugeta, who represents Deshaun Watson, so I don't know how that would factor into it. But I do know that he will be in demand. And if I were making the decisions, I would at least be inquiring. I would be tossing my hat into that ring, but I don't know if that's a super strong possibility.
Kay Cabot breaking down all the possibilities when it comes to the QB situation. Todd Monken has said that, athleticism. He seems to keep highlighting athleticism as a trait that is really desirable in today's NFL. Does that tell you anything more, or is that just a standard thing maybe a coach would say?
No, I don't think it's a standard thing that a coach would say, because Kevin never used to really say that. Kevin would always say there are many different ways to go about it. And he would always say that he could coach any different kind of quarterback. Todd is very vocal about the fact that he prefers a dual threat quarterback where you can do every single thing that you want to do in the running game with that quarterback. So I do think that in a perfect world, he would end up with something close to what he had in Lamar Jackson. Now, of course, Lamar Jackson is one of one, but there are quarterbacks who are extremely athletic, obviously, in addition to Lamar. And I think that he would prefer that style of quarterback. He just spent 3 years seeing how Lamar can hurt a defense. So I think that's what he would want. Now, what he's going to have to determine and decide is if he can make the off-schedule plays and all the things that he wants to do in that regard with Shedeur Sanders. I thought Shedeur was so much more mobile than he would be at this level. I thought he was more elusive in avoiding the sacks and making some of those off-schedule plays. Is it enough? It seemed to be enough for what Todd might want to do, but that's an evaluation he's going to have to make.
Mary Kay Cabot with us on the show. What is, real quick, what is Dylan Gabriel's future, you think?
It's a good question, and I think it depends in part on what they do in the draft, trade, free agency. If they add another rookie quarterback, then I think maybe you do try to move a Dylan Gabriel. But right now, I think that they're looking at their two young guys as good developmental pieces that they want to keep working with. But we'll see how that goes, because you can't have too many guys. You know, you guys saw what happened last year with there just aren't enough reps to go around. They did all the two spotting even during the season. And, you know, they changed up their whole entire plan. I don't even know if Todd Monken would be willing to change up the whole plan like that, the way that they did last year and have two different fields going and whatnot. But I think it will depend largely on if they draft a quarterback.
All right, Mary Kay, David Njoku, was that his decision or is that the Browns' decision?
Oh, I'm sure it was probably the Browns' decision. David has said so many times that he wants to finish his career here, and if he had an opportunity to do that, I'm sure he would have done that. But they must have given him a very strong and clear indication that they were ready to move on, and it was time for him to go find that new home. So I'm sure he would have loved to come back.
Have you heard anything about Wyatt Teller's future?
Well, it seemed like even towards the end of the season, when we talked to Wyatt a few times, that that he was going to be moving on himself. But once again, there's a new sheriff in town and new eyes on it. And maybe Kevin saw Wyatt one way, maybe Todd will see him another way. It does seem like he probably isn't long for this team and will probably find a new home himself. But once again, I think this is an opportunity for Todd to dig in there and see what he wants to do on the line and elsewhere.
Combine coming up here shortly. They got needs, really pressing needs. But they got the number 6 overall pick. How will they weigh need versus maybe best player available, even if that player isn't an offensive player?
They have been really, really true to their board. And for them, usually if they do pick a player that marries up with their need, it's because that player in their minds was the best available player. I do know that they are going to use most of their resources on offense. So I think you can look at tackle, wide receiver, center, guard, whatever. But Andrew Berry likes to surprise during the draft, like he did with Carson Schlesinger. Who ever thought that Carson Schlesinger on draft day last year was going to be NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year? So I don't think you can draft for need. I don't think he will draft for need. I think he will go with best available player, and I think they'll hope that the best player matches up with what they really need.
You have very successful children. If the Browns had a Super Bowl parade and they were still in school, and it cost you 1 letter grade for the children to attend the parade because they can't get school out like they did in Seattle, right? If it cost you 1 letter grade, would you continue to keep the kids in school, or would you still pull them out and have them go to the parade?
1 whole letter grade? Is that what they're doing?
Well, no, that was. I should say that's a stipulation given by Baskin and Phelps. 1 whole letter grade. If it was 1 whole letter grade, would you keep them in school, or would you still take them out and send them to the parade?
Oh, that's a tough one, because I always tell my children, follow your highest excitement, follow your highest fun in life. That's how you end up with an acrobat and a comedian. I have 3 children.
Wait a minute, you have a comedian in there?
I do have a comedian, yes. My youngest.
I got to text you. We're good. Lima, you and I both love stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked to Mary Kay about this before.
I had no idea.
Would be interesting if the acrobat could also be a comedian, and now you really got an act.
Well, we've got, we're going to be like the Flying Walendas over here. We're just going to have like a whole family show going on. No, my youngest, she lives in New York City, and she does a stand-up comedy there in addition to her day job. But anyways, we digress.
I don't want to digress. I think she's an incredible acrobat. You've sent me some of the stuff. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun. She's living her best life. That's my middle child. And then we can't forget Chris. He's in wealth management here and golfing every single chance he gets. But anyway.
Sensational. Mary Kay, go ahead.
It would be hard. It would be hard to make that decision for me because I'm all about the grades too. But I don't know. I might go parade.
I mean, how often are you going to get to see this in life? Let's be serious.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Mary Kay, can't thank you enough for the time. All the very best to you and yours, as I always say, but I mean it every time, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Mary Kay Cabot on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. 40%? 40%? What would your reaction be? If week 1, Hindebank Field, 4 comes out again to try to take your Browns to where he was supposed to take them. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
All right, real estate market, obviously.
I think the thing to remember here with both Todd Monken and Andrew Berry is that they have both said that they are open to bringing in a quarterback from the outside. So we don't really know yet what's going to happen in the draft, free agency, a trade. But right at the moment, he's right in the thick of it with, I would say it would be Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson competing for that starting job right now. And then we'll see whoever else comes on board.
The incomparable Mary Kay Cabot, 40% chance for Deshaun Watson to start.
Which is probably 40% higher than most fans.
Well, I kind of want to know. Are you open-minded to it?
Well, I would ask this.
I've opened my mind to it.
I wonder if all the fans that, for myriad reasons over the years have wanted nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. For the off-the-field stuff, obviously. The on-the-field stuff has sucked as well. And then the commitment of money. And so you add all of that together, and it's one big pile of, I never want to see this dude again. He's been weighing us down. So I wonder if all it would take for those fans to change their mind is Todd Monken getting on a mic and saying, wait till you guys see Deshaun Watson. How many of you Browns fans would change your mind if you heard that?
Not many.
Oh, I disagree.
Really?
I think Todd Monken is in a honeymoon period. And I think if you hire a guy to turn around your offense and he's telling you the way to turn around the offense is to rescue the guy who has been dreadful and many people think is the reason that you've only won 9 games over the last 2 years.
I don't know. I've had a lot of Browns coaches tell me a lot of things about a lot of quarterbacks who ended up sucking up the room. Remember, the ground shooketh underneath Hugh Jackson's feet. People can't see me giving you this look, but obviously I'm being very sarcastic. But that was a quote. That was a quote that was said about Robert Griffin III. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many people would believe it. It's weird. I brought this up. One franchise has a lot more trust than the other one. Fans trust the Cavs, don't they? Fans would trust the Cavs. I ran the poll last week before the trade was made for James Harden. 70% of fans did not want this trade to happen. Did it feel like 70% of fans did not want this trade to happen last night? Nope. I don't know if I've ever seen a trade so universally panned by this fan base and then loved in such a little time. There's a honeymoon period, though, with James Harden right now. I don't think we're in a big I think some people have started to be like, okay, let me open my mind up to Todd Monken. But I don't think Todd Monken's in a position yet where what he says goes and people are going to believe him. I don't think that they are. I think the Browns are in a weird spot right now. You've been competitive, but you were competitive with a quarterback that isn't here anymore. You were competitive with another quarterback who isn't here anymore. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of distrust. You're letting go of guys that you hoped were going to be a part of the future. Now their time has passed. Joel Bitonio probably is going to retire. Wyatt Teller's probably gone. I hate to say it. David Njoku's gone. I hate to say it. There's a lot of people who put a lot of faith in those guys, and by no fault of their own, it seems, this team hasn't been able to get it. They don't have a lot of trust. So I think of Todd Monken, who I ain't got nothing against the guy. He'll be organized. But if Todd Monken comes out and goes, wait until you see this guy play, I think a lot of people are like, okay, prove it.
Would they? Okay, maybe, but would they turn on Todd Monken, do you think?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. If they go out there and they start losing. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'd love to hear from people on that.
216-474-0092. If they go out there and they lose, if he starts week 1, and they go out there and they start the season 0-2, guaranteed. Todd Monken told me to trust him on this. Todd Monken told me to wait until you see this guy plays. Well, I'm watching. I'm seeing. You know what? I'm seeing nothing. I guarantee you.
Well, it's just interesting because
you know that.
Obviously, Mary Kay, in her report, she had what she had to say about people in the building are like, oh, yeah, Deshaun Watson is still the most talented guy they have. Remember when Albert Breer was on last year on the afternoon show and they were asking him, at parts of the season.
I agreed with the guys, too.
And they were asking Albert Breer, who's the most talented quarterback of the 30 quarterbacks that they have? He's like, oh, it's Deshaun Watson.
I agreed with Jonathan.
It's not even debatable.
Yeah. I agreed with Jonathan on that. I don't think that if he said, I don't think it would do much good. I think they would try to sell it, but I don't know. It just feels like, man, think about all this. This is why Shedeur, some people get upset. This is why Shedeur has the inside edge to week 1. You got to think about everything else. What guy? I'm sick and tired of part of the reason I don't want to play Deshaun Watson is because I'm tired of the conversations. I want to avoid the conversations, to be honest with you. With Shedeur, I welcome him because nice enough young man, and I think that if he does well, great, be a great story. If he doesn't do well, another one goes up on the jersey. When it comes to Deshaun, just think about everything you got to do. Are you going to put him back up there on the stadium, on the side of the stadium? No. Are you going to have a bunch of social media posts? I mean, you're going to have to because he's your starting quarterback. And
well,
you
they get killed for every social media post.
Yeah, but
they're used to it.
Are you going to get killed as much if you put Shedeur Sanders up there? QB1. Coach Todd's made the announcement. QB1, Shedeur Sanders versus QB1, Deshaun Watson.
I've seen the responses I've seen the responses to anything. I've seen the responses to anything favorable for Watson.
You're insulting yourself.
And they throw, 40th ranked quarterback in the NFL.
You are insulting yourself.
Now they should add Ken Carman thinks could win the Super Bowl.
You know, with the Seattle Seahawks handing the ball off. Don't even just stop.
Do we have Brian Hoyer on that?
Stop it. You guys have all taken this thing and bastardized it to the most ridiculous level ever. And I'm sure you're happy. Yeah, you're happy. You laugh it up because you got what you wanted out of me. But that's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Maybe 39. Turn around and hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker Jr. It's not some slight on Sam Darnold. You guys know the truth. I want to go through. You're getting ready to do the show by yourself because I'm about to look through it before 9:40 and find all those other QBs. It's ridiculous. Brian.
Here's one QB that doesn't think that.
Ridiculous.
Sam Darnold. I had to answer questions on Cleveland radio yesterday. They thought there was 40 quarterbacks that could have won that Super Bowl game playing for the Seahawks, and I think that's straight out disrespectful to Sam Darnold.
No, it's
because
not.
It's what he didn't do in that game.
No, it's
and
not.
By not turning the football over against that defense is what won them that football game.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm respecting what the Seattle Seahawks have built. I didn't say that 40 other quarterbacks, but courtesy of Barstool, I didn't say that 40 other quarterbacks could have led them all season to the Super Bowl. No, that would have been disrespectful. I said in one game where Seattle beat the brakes off the New England Patriots in every phase.
Sounds like Ken feels he was taken out of context.
Phase. I'm not saying I'm taken out of context. I think people bastardize what I've said, but I'll stand by it. And by the way, Brian, it's not they, it's me. I like Brian. He knows that. But you don't say they, just say me, because obviously you don't agree.
So there's no doubt. Listen,
it's just one game for crying out loud.
There is no doubt. It's hard for me to fathom trotting Deshaun Watson out there week one and on the PA announcing him as the starting quarterback.
Yeah, way to pull a switcheroo on me, by the way.
But, and again, our X reaction, social media reaction brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Total Browns Moose says all you have to do is look what Joey Porter said about Ben Roethlisberger. We played that early in the show. Say he's a bad teammate, bad person, but how'd the fans act when he won Super Bowls? Like, they all know that. They all know that stuff.
So Deshaun Watson's going to go win a Super Bowl?
If he was on his way,
I'm just doing what you do to me.
If he was playing well, how many fans would change their tone immediately?
But they don't have faith. I'm asking for the reaction if before week one, end of the preseason, QB1, Deshaun Watson. You're insulting your own intelligence if you don't think there's even a threat. You could say it's a lot of it's negative. Fine. Maybe there's going to be negative on both. But you know that the reactions are far different with Deshaun Watson than they are with Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, to some people, may represent a waste of time. Deshaun Watson represents something completely different. Deshaun Watson represents a bad idea that they had, that they went through with, and that we're still paying for. Deshaun Watson reminds them of the worst trade in the NFL.
So you're terrified right now about what Mary Kay is saying and what Todd Monken's saying.
I'm not afraid. I am not afraid of that.
You sound kind of scared.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm telling you that you're lying to yourself and you're not being honest with you or the listener.
Is Mary Kay lying? Is Todd Monken lying?
Why would Mary Kay lie? Why would I accuse Mary Kay or Todd Monken lying?
I'm saying about what they are saying.
Power rank those liars.
Nobody's lying. If anybody's lying, he's just lying to himself.
Lying liars and the liars who tell them. Al Franken book.
Ken Carman, Anthony. I'm going to push off the James Harden thing for a second. I want to hear from you guys. Shedeur Sanders versus Deshaun Watson. How are you going to react? If you think one's a waste of time, fine. I'll argue it with you all you want. But you know what the other one represents to you. The other one represents a bad period in Browns history. What could have been, while David Njoku's time was wasted, while Wyatt Teller's time was wasted, while Joe Batonia's time was wasted, while Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward's time was wasted. They're not even in the same wavelength, guys. Not even close. There's only one liar here, and it's you and it's to yourself. That's not even true. Coming up next, that and later on, last night, James Harden said something about this Cavs team that he's never said about any team he's ever played for.
Well, my partner just called me a liar, but I'm here to tell you that I'm telling the truth when it comes to QC.
Sports. We're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
Mood. I played your game, you distracted me twice, and I was able to get back on track right before the end of the segment, so I was happy about that. But I know what you tried to do to me. First off, the complete switcheroo you did with the Brian Hoyer argument. Now I got to text Brian and apologize to him because I'm sure that's going to be played for him later, and now he's going to really go. Listen, Brian is a former quarterback. You can tell former quarterbacks got a little gear in him, and you can tell Brian has a gear in him. He can make you feel that big if he wants to. And I didn't. Tiger got out of the cage. If Brian or his brothers are listening, Tiger got out of the cage here. It's perfectly okay to say Ken in the future. I don't say. Somebody accused me of rage bait yesterday with the Brian clip and about Sam Darnold. Guys, contrary to what you think about radio show hosts, I don't set out to get cussed out on the air or in person or online. They don't pay me any extra to argue with people on the internet.
Oh, so that's my favorite part of the job.
That's not what. See, that's the difference between you and me. I'm not going to do anything for rage bait. I don't set out to get cussed out. I like people to have a pleasant time. If I say something stupid, and I've done it, and I've later on admitted, even when I didn't think it was stupid, I mean what I say. I said it for one game with Sam Darnold, and see now I'm getting distracted again. Let me remain on task here. You said there weren't much of a difference. I just got completely distracted. My wife just texted me and said Axel texted my mother and told her we were starving him. So I have to take. You get a text like that, I'm going, what am I doing? Sorry.
Before it was just texting you about whether she had heard of James Harden. So
which now
the stakes have changed.
People are going to be tweeting me the John Goodman Family Guy thing. That's going to be the rest of the day. You know damn well. This is why I'm calling you a liar to yourself. I'm not saying I did accuse you of lying to the listeners, but other than that,
that's okay.
At one time.
If you don't think there's a difference, you could say, hey, it's all negative, so I don't care. It's just different degrees of negative. Okay, fine. I gave you your out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't think there's a difference in how Browns fans feel, if Shedeur Sanders starts week 1 compared to Deshaun Watson, again, Shedeur Sanders may represent, to some people, a waste of time. They may just think there might be some guys sitting around a bar in Cleveland Heights or Lorraine or wherever, and they're just going, yeah, well, I mean, if he works out, great, whatever. But that's really what you're getting. I think that's honestly, like, to true Browns fans, everyday guys, they might do that. So there's some who may like it and go, hey, you know what? Maybe he will do better. Maybe he'll have a better chance considering he isn't throwing to trash cans and ball boys this year. They'll try to do that. If you roll out and say Deshaun Watson's QB1, that is a representation. He is a representation of real bad memories for Browns fans. Real bad memories. And hey, I got to walk it back here a minute because I'm checking what I'm saying on the air, and I'm willing to say, hey, I've had to open up the doors to perception on him playing this year. I don't want him to start week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think want him to start week 1.
Kenny, I don't think anybody does. All I'm saying is, where is this coming from all of a sudden that Mary Kay's checking in with people and they're saying he's the most talented guy still? That Todd Monken seemed to have much in the way of positivity, talking glowingly about trying to tap into those elite skills. I didn't hear much in the way of elite when it came to when he was asked about the other quarterback, Shedeur. So... Well, this is there momentum, or is this just nothing? Is this just lip service? That's what I want to know.
I think that's more. Are you accusing Mary Kay lip service?
No. The Browns. The Browns.
Oh, no.
Because you're right. They tore down all the signage. They had washed their hands, but yet he's still on the roster. Yet you're seeing videos again. Yet he's
from the Browns.
Well, no, this is stuff from Deshaun Watson.
Okay, there's differences between the Browns and him. You know that.
But here's a big difference between this year and last year. Last year, they could use the injury as an excuse, and we were really in the weeds about insurance. Nobody knows, by the way, if the Browns are actually getting money on this, because some people think he could have played last year. So how are they going to get paid on this? Anyway, that's beside the point. Now he's going to be there. Like when training camp starts, hello, Deshaun Watson's going to be jumping up to the line, and whether it's first team reps, second team reps, third team reps, he's going to be a part of the process, and you can't hide talent. Question is, does he have any talent left?
No.
Or is all that gone?
There's definitely some talent in there.
Well, if there is some talent in there, who is more apt to look better in training camp?
It would be probably Deshaun Watson. It would probably be him.
How's that work in a quarterback competition?
Oh, don't act like there's not politics done with quarterbacks all the time, and don't act like we've been the center of politics for quarterbacks in the past.
But think about how that went last year. What did the Shador fans...
Ask Brian about that. Hate to say it.
What did the Shador fans say about how that looked last year when Dylan Gabriel looked so bad?
It looked ridiculous.
So are we setting up a first-year quarterback, first-year head coach to look bad again by lying about who the better player is?
No, I think we're being honest with ourselves about which one do we think we have maybe have a crack at a brighter future with. The guy who we maybe have a crack at a brighter future with is probably Shador Sanders.
But what did they say? And this has been how many ex-players or how many Ross Tuckers or the people that report on the league like Albert Breer come on and say the same thing. You might be able to lie on a microphone. You can't lie to the people in the locker room. And if you don't play the best quarterback that could be clearly the best quarterback in the quarterback competition.
I understand.
You're starting the year really putting your head coach behind a deficit.
If Shador can hear this, but please work your ass completely off. Please, please, please. You seem like you're off to a good start. Please. Because when it comes to we are a conduit to the fans, you and I. And they feel, they might argue over one, but they feel completely different about the other. The other one they're pretty ambivalent to, I think. I mean, he might represent a little bit of a waste of time, but I mean, honestly, he kind of represents a bygone era, doesn't he? Don't we all just credit Kevin with that pick and just go, well, if he goes, he goes?
That's what some of the original reporting was when it came out. In the end, we still seem like we have no idea was it Paul DePodesta? Was it RIP? Was it Kevin?
He's not dead. He's just in Colorado.
He's dead to me. His football career's dead.
Oh, okay.
But
that's what you think.
But who was it? Although I thought that about Sashi Brown, and
there you go. See.
So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like I have no idea who's responsible for the Dylan Gabriel pick. None of it made sense.
Well,
it's bad. It's been whoever takes credit for it is bad.
It's not good. It's just I can't. No, it would not. He would have to be so good. And you're right. I have to admit something here, is that when you talk about the elite traits, he was at one point an elite quarterback. So, I remember there was a video, and I'm going to get to the phones here in just a second. Hang on there. 216-474-0092. I want to hear if I'm right. Or Lime is right, for that matter. Will you feel any different depending on who the quarterback is? Will you really feel worse if Deshaun Watson's week one starter? I remember I saw a video on CBS of Boomer Esiason throwing. And this is 10 years ago. So Boomer was still in his 50s, right? And whoever, I think he was throwing to NFL wide receivers, and they're like, he could still spin it. There is still gas on these throws. I was like, yeah, elite traits. Think about this. There are guys like Bernie Kosar, who's been through it all. I'm sure if Bernie walked out there and, just gave a little stretch, I'm sure he can make your hands sting. There's elite traits or elite traits. It very rarely, when Nolan Ryan threw a 77-mile-an-hour first pitch, you still have that. There's still ways you can go back. You can't do it all the time. And I'm sure there's elite traits with Deshaun Watson. But over the course of the season, over the course of what you're trying to do, no, I just don't think that he's the right investment for this football team. And really, I will admit this as well. I don't think that he's worth it because I don't want to have the arguments with you where, oh man, maybe he did show something here. Maybe he was able to do it. Maybe if he has a game like Shador Sanders had the one week with 300 some odd yards and God knows what, I mean, we're going to have conversations about signing him to an extension.
I know. That's the hard part. That is hard because then it's is this fool's gold?
It's just no, keep the shark out in the water. Keep him out there. Don't invite him near the boat. Don't invite him near the shore. Gone, stay away.
But see how clunky this is?
Give me my nice, safe Shador Sanders.
By the fact that he's still on this football team and now the dude is healthy. And this might be the healthiest he's been in a long time.
All right, what are you going to do week 4?
That's so hard. That's so hard because he's still on the roster. This is why some people said, hey, no matter what the cap situation is, you got to get out from underneath this or we're going to have to be forced to have conversations like this. And I am so curious because I have no idea what this dude is going to look like come training camp. But you could tell he will be at training camp, and he will be attempting to compete for the starting quarterback job.
Are you going to be rooting for him to get the quarterback job, or are you going to be rooting for Shedeur Sanders?
May the best man win.
Oh, my God. This is going to turn into a real crossfire this summer. Oh, my gosh. I just realized this.
Hey, if this elevates Shedeur, guys, that's the one good thing, one saving grace from all of this, is if you truly believe Shedeur is somebody who's a competitor, who may be a competition, he can get the most out. Because what was he competing for when he was the quarterback at Colorado? So this is all new, rarefied air for him. He has a chance to compete. Maybe this brings the best out of Shedeur, and maybe he accesses some of the stuff that his fans think are elite traits. Maybe that's the case.
Some of his fans, you hear that? That's that.
Well, they're high.
I know what you mean by that.
They're way higher on his traits than the rest of the NFL is.
But you don't take them seriously. You think that they're a bunch of lunatics because you say because you won't say a certain word anymore about them. You call them a cult.
Josh,
you call his fans a cult.
I not use that term anymore. But
you won't use the term anymore because you're being sarcastic.
Listen, Zach Wilson, look at where he was drafted. Josh Rosen. Just because NFL teams don't think you belong in a certain category, that doesn't mean they're right. Maybe the NFL was wrong.
This show, I just realized this show is going to be a war zone this summer. It is going to be, training camp. Oh, jeez. I just realized it because I know what you've done with Shedeur fans here over this last year, and I know, and they may not know, they may just hate you. And I wouldn't blame you guys for hating him. I know how you feel about Deshaun, and if they don't know, they are going to learn. And this is going to be every day. I will probably come as close to hitting you physically as I ever have.
You're a historian, right? You've told us wars don't start overnight. They take years of posturing and build up, right?
Yep.
You're in it right now.
I'm here.
Welcome.
Oh boy. Demos and Shaker. Hello.
Morning. So, Ken, if you would have mentioned Trent Dilfer in your conversation with Hoyer, it's possible he probably still would have defended quarterbacks in general. Mm-hmm. But that's probably the best analogy, don't you think, in terms of like a quarterback that won the Super Bowl that people said like, could have been interchangeable, right? I mean, I don't know if that exact argument happened a few years ago, but you at least would have been a little closer to having some kind of linkage to the whatever reality Hoyer denied you, because that's what happened there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that being the case, though, Deshaun, his baggage is far too great. You're right here. It can't outweigh that the play, and if Monken doesn't know that, then then we're really in trouble because he has a sense, and I think somebody brought it up. I think it was just lip service. Because that's what he's supposed to say. He can't go out there and say, we need to, protect this many millions of dollars still on the payroll until we can pawn him off for, whatever the traits that are negative and the traits that are positive, whatever that'll determine his worth on the trade market. And if we could trade him, thank God, that'd be the best thing to happen. Now, just in a real quick aside.
Which one?
Trade Deshaun, because if Miami wants him, trade him.
If you could trade Deshaun Watson for anything, would you want to give Barry a 10-year contract?
No, but it's somewhere between that 10 years and a bag of socks that I would trade for him. Okay. Is about right. But real quick, Harden is different though in terms of flipping the switch on you liking him now. Because he came in here and he'd flop and he'd score his,
that's a good point.
Points and he'd have his great assists. So it's like now he's our guy. So that's why people like him. It's
I like that.
But Deshaun could, short of becoming a monk and take us to the Super Bowl, he's dead in the water here.
Demos, I thank you very much for the call. I thought I loved just about all of it. Coming up at 9:45. Saying goodbye to a legend of our generations. And last night, James Harden said something about this Cavs team that he's never said about any other team he's played for. Hear it in 5 minutes on The Fan.
In the world of collecting, community is everything.
game for the guys as the U.S. will take on Latvia. That faceoff is set for 3:10. Listen to the Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
As much as I dread it, I am excited. Because late July, when training camp kicks off, it's going to be a war every morning. I will probably get as close to physically assaulting you as I've ever been. I might have to face the truth.
Well, look, if Shedeur is outperforming Watson, I'm not one of those. I don't do the thing where I picked a guy, so now everything the other guy does is wrong, and the guy that I picked. There are plenty of people that do that. I don't want a worse starting quarterback starting for the Browns this year. I want the better one. And I do kind of think, and I think you agree with me on this, I think Watson can't just be better than Shedeur or whoever else they bring in or whatever. I think he's got to be a lot better. I'm not going, it's a tie, or let's go to Watson because he's making more money. No, sirree, Bob. That's pointless. Because then that gets you.
Say that now. We'll see. We'll see.
That gets you in that area where they win 8 games and it's like, pay me, contract extension. Mm-hmm. I don't want any part of that.
We'll see when the rules of engagement change coming up. When I'm setting tripwire on you, when it comes to Shedeur, we'll remember, won't we, Owen? Won't we, Owen?
You know, I'm just an impartial third party in this whole thing.
Oh, you are you?
I'd rather be like the Swiss.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's how it's going to work.
Unless I find an opening to join in against one of the other.
That means it's going to be against me.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I gotta be ready. You're a real Stalin over there. Yeah, there you go. That's rich. All right, here we go. This is James Harden yesterday when asked about whether or not this team has what it takes to win a championship.
Yeah. Yes. And you can't really say that. I don't know how many times I've really said that throughout the course of my career, but given the depth, given the shooting, the athleticism, the versatility that we have, yes.
Are you thinking that this team is special, or is this just a honeymoon period? 216-474-0092. I really honestly think that I don't mean to make it work. I don't mean to make it weird here. Blah 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 blah. Sorry, I've had a lot of coffee. How are you defining special? Just getting to the finals?
Well, let's think about what we're seeing. It's only been 3 games. Let's talk about what we're seeing so far on the floor. And even before Harden's arrival, you had a 40-point dominating performance from Jared Allen when, I mean, that guy, people were ready to send him get him out of here, send him via trade. You know, the lights are too bright, whatever, all that stuff. Now, look at his play over the last 8 games. He's shooting 76%. Every time he touches the ball, he's scoring. And he's just been a great player without Evan Mobley. It's been incredible. So put that aside. Now, look at that 2-man game that James Harden is developing with Sam Merrill.
I got something diabolical here
right?
in a second. Yeah.
And then, by the way, in the fourth quarter, while people are wondering, hey, whose team's it going to be? Or is James Harden going to get in the way of Donovan Mitchell? No, they'll both close, and they'll both dominate, which we saw in Denver, which we saw the first game against Sacramento. I know they're not a good team. Yesterday, the Merrill performance, but overall, they are starting to points per possession. If you look at all the advanced metrics, it's at the top of the NBA offensively. And you're doing all this before you get one of the best defensive players in the game who can finish at the rim when you start throwing them lobs. That, to me, is the formula for a team that can make not just a run, that can make a run into June.
216-474-0092. See, that's when we say special, I think a lot of people think championship when they think special. I think it's very hard to win a championship. So if I can get to June, if I can get to a NBA Finals, I think that's a special basketball team. I think they have what it takes. I do have to ask something diabolical here. When Evan comes back, does this start to become, and we got to be careful, I just don't want it to become, is this team better without Evan on the floor? Like we did with Darius. I don't want to trade one problem for another. Darius was a guy who was highly regarded by a large segment of the fans, but there were a lot of people who thought that we were better without Darius Garland. Now, we are better without Darius Garland because we have James Harden. But at the time, there were people who thought we were better without Darius Garland because we had Ty Jerome.
Right.
Okay, no. And you agreed with me on that, and I agreed with you on that.
Silly.
James Harden, difference maker. Now, how do I fit Evan Mobley into that role? How does my offense change? Now, I might have to get nitty-gritty basketball with you here or ask you to get nitty-gritty with me because a guy who's 6'5" changes things. Like before, it was like, hey, Evan's got to be able to take open shots, to be more aggressive because it will open things up for everybody else. Now if I have, because part of it was to get people away from Darius Garland. Now you have James Harden who can deal with people with him. Darius physically couldn't do it. James Harden can. So that changes it. So I don't know if I'm going to have the conversation with anybody about whether or not this team is better without Evan Mobley on the floor. That's what I'm pointing out.
No, I think that Evan, unfortunately, he wasn't able to make the offensive leap this year. I'm done worrying about that because you've got two straight-up killers on that offense that both have had massive playoff games. I know what you're going to say about, and rightfully so, James Harden in some of those elimination games. We've all seen it. Now he's got Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell, it's his team. James Harden seems content with that. Have you seen the usage numbers? I posted this earlier in the show. It's only been 3 games. We'll see if it is just a anomaly or if it's the trend. But James Harden not only is deferring, he's actually deferring more than Darius Garland did. His usage rate in the 3 games is below where basically Darius has been the last 3 years. Kind of needs to be that way. This is what I want to see.
True.
And how they're staggering the two of them throughout the course of a game where there's always one of them on the floor and then fourth quarter time. Because now you got a guy that can get to the foul line too. That's a huge addition. That's something the Cavs have not been able to do. And he is blowing by guys. I can't believe at 36 years old, James Harden is still getting by guys, but he is. And he's not just taking bad shots and just throwing the ball, flinging it up into the air in harm's way. No, he's still got his head up. He's still manipulating defenses with his eyes. He's one of the strongest. Forget about his creativity in his passing. He's so strong in his passes. And then I came in this morning, Ken, and I'm like, you guys saw the pass, right? He went behind the back, right down, the middle of the paint to Jalen Tyson. And that is one of the best passes you'll see in the NBA this year. Right down Euclid, yes. That's one of the best passes you'll see all year in the NBA. Game 3.
I go back to Demos's call, too, about the change in uniform. Because James Harden says this, 3 weeks ago, I would have railed on him for this. I feel completely different. This is my own hypocrisy playing on me. I feel completely different because he's a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I know what this is all about. Hit it.
And the whole quote-unquote loyalty thing I think it's overrated. I think this is a business at the end of the day, and it's a lot of money involved and a lot of decisions that has to be made. You know what I mean? So, like if a player isn't producing or if you don't see him in the future or, front office, some of them have to do like a job and want to keep their job, so they got to feel like they got to do what's best for, to keep their job, and they trade players. Or if a guy isn't happy and he wants to be traded to somewhere else, then it's a problem. It's just so many different dynamics that go into it. This is a business at the end of the day. So, like, not even just NBA, but like people that have normal jobs have those same problems. It's just not magnified. You know what I mean? So, for me, it's always about I don't lose focus of trying to compete for a championship, and then financially, making sure that my family is taken care of. You know what I mean? Because I'm very smart and I've sacrificed a lot. Financially, which I don't get credit. I don't get talked about, but I'm fulfilled and I'm happy with it. But like winning a championship or at least having a chance to, and then financially getting paid for, me being available and playing at the highest level for so long. So to answer your question, this is a business at the end of the day. So I feel like players should, ultimately do what's best for them, and front office does what's best for them and their owner and their organization. So, it's two sides of a story.
My antennas go up when you say this is a business at the end of the day, which he said a few times in that statement, in that answer. But I'm comfortable with it because I know what this is about. I don't think that this is going to end well. If I get supreme effort and I get supreme talent while the time is here, I can't hate James Harden for it. I would love to be able to win a championship with James Harden and then really have no ill will towards him whatsoever at the end of all this. But I also know that we can play that. If this ends in 2 years with James Harden, I can continue to play that and go, he didn't lie to me 2 years ago. How can I rip the guy when he didn't lie to me 2 years ago and we play that clip? I'm serious. Save that clip till kingdom come, because I might have to be tested by this, because I'm an emotional person and they live, whether I accept it or not, and I have to accept it because I love sports and we do this, they live in a different reality than us. They have had meetings with guys across the table who have used media, passionate media who are loyal to an area, like us, used fans who are passionate to their own area, like everybody listening, against the player, putting pressure on them to make the decision that the front office wants them to make because they want to keep people happy. James Harden had that play out with him twice. A teammate left, and then obviously we know what happened with Daryl Morey and the lying about the contract that Daryl Morey really hasn't even said that he didn't lie about, right? So that's happened to him twice, so he has this type of outlook on this. So if he's honest about this, and he is, he didn't sit there and say, I'm sure he'll find people in Cleveland that he likes. I'm sure he'll find things in Cleveland that he likes. I'm sure that he will find our fan base very hospitable as long as we get the very best out of each other. And I have no reason right now to think that we won't get the very best out of him. He did he or did he not gain weight in Philly? To get out of it? Was it Philly? I lose count.
He said it a few times throughout the course of his career.
Has he or has he not gained weight to get out of a place? It's looked like it. Has he or has he not been to certain establishments to get out of a place and not want to play to get out of it? I mean, that's arguable. Right?
This is a mutually beneficial relationship at this point.
Exactly.
You could say they're both using each other to get what they want. He wants another contract. He wants a chance to win championships. They wanted to elevate the team. They wanted to make them a better team than they thought they were with the injured Darius Garland. So let's see if it can come together and work. These are hard things to pull off, but I'm glad they made the move, and I think there were 20,000 fans in that arena last night that might not have been happy with the move a week ago and seemed pretty thrilled that they made that move yesterday.
216-474-0092. I just think that piece of honesty. I don't take it as brutal because he plays for my basketball team and we just won, and it was basically like an opening night all over again, a celebration for all Cavs fans and really for all Cleveland fans. Again, I started this show. I saw people at that Cavs game that I didn't think would ever go to a Cavs game in the near future. And because they like the Cavs, they don't end up getting to games. There were a lot of people who made it their business, if we're talking about business, to get to games, to get to that game, I should say. And it felt like an opening night all over again. Now, after the trade deadline and after the All-Star break, and on February 22nd, when you're at Oklahoma City and it's a Sunday and everybody's going to be watching that game, I mean, that's the first big test. If they go out there and they lose, I'll make myself feel better and go, hey, we got to get through the Eastern Conference. We'll get there. That's fine. But it will be the first big test. But I can't fault the guy for being honest to saying, if I was Ken Carman on Westwood One Sports or Anthony Lima on Westwood One Sports, like we used to be before we took ourselves to other places in our lives, I would probably agree with him and tell him that that's a look into what it really is. But as a Cavs fan, as a person who hasn't always paid attention to James Harden, I know how I would have reacted to that if he were still playing for the Clippers.
I just wonder if fans...
It wouldn't have been positive.
We've got multiple generations now of fans that have understood how these teams operate and how the players operate. And I'm always surprised that they don't understand that this loyalty thing is kind of a joke altogether from most players' side. Yeah, you have your Jose Ramirez. That's not 99%. There's a reason the Players Union wasn't happy with what he did. And all I'm saying is, like Colin Sexton. They put him on the billboard. They traded him. Was that fair to Colin Sexton?
No.
And he hasn't been he hasn't had a chance to be on a winner since.
They put Darius Garland on the big mural. They traded him too.
Yeah. So this is a two-way street, and I think James Harden is shining a light on all of that for everybody.
But Jose, for me, is the reason why. Jose is the reason why I can't talk down to anybody about this, and I have to just accept this for what it is. Because Jose's the guy. Why do we love Jose so much? Because he's staying here, because he's loyal. He turned down now $70 million in deferments. He turned down arguably $100 million before. I mean, this is a guy who's turned down almost $200 million to stay in Cleveland because he likes the area. That's why we won't allow people to complain if he goes 1 for 8 in the first 2 games of a postseason series. That's why you can't say anything bad about the guy, because he hasn't done anything bad, because he's only done right things, and that he loves your area and that people love him. That's the difference with him. But because of that, I have to examine what James Harden says and go, yeah, that's what makes Jose Ramirez so much more special. But I do have to examine the realities of what they live with. Not that they're victims of millions of dollars. But, yeah, maybe I just appreciate guys like Jose Ramirez more, and I can take James Harden for what he is, a guy who's telling me the truth, and I can accept him and enjoy him, in the words of Paul Dolan, while we have him. Coming up next, saying goodbye to a legend of our generation, and a show that I'm so glad that I watched during COVID because I appreciate him so much more now. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. If you're at work, watch us on YouTube Live for absolutely free. 92.3 The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for the wonderful people.
You got the opportunity of a lifetime. You
Playing
treat it like a
football at
joke.
West Canaan is not the opportunity of a lifetime.
Your attitude's wrong. Your tone of voice is wrong. This is your opportunity.
For
here.
you, playing football at West Canaan may have been the opportunity of your lifetime, but I don't want your life.
Audio courtesy of Varsity Blues.
I don't think there was a day that went by in high school where we did not either make fun of that quote or parrot that quote or use it in a serious conversation.
I'm going to tell you, there were plenty of conversations. That was a 1999 film. I can tell you right now at Perry High School in Stark County and in and around Stark County, there were definitely a lot of conversations like that in real life. 100%. Whether you find that healthy or not, that's up to you. But there were definitely conversations about that. Hell, it might be a conversation with me and my son at some point. James Vanderbeek passed away yesterday at age 48. He's now the third, hate to say it, third with Paul Walker passed away in the car wreck, and Ron Lester, who played Billy Bob, passed away a number of years ago as well. I saw the video of him talking about what he had gone through with cancer, and boy, he seemed to be, it was tough to get through. He seemed to be a man at peace. I got to tell you, man, it was a blow. Because it was like our generation. In 99, I'm 13 years old. Like you're getting ready for high school football and stuff like that. So it was like the Bible of movies for kids my age. It was unbelievable. I don't know how you guys took, like, for like guys a little older than me, the Program was the movie. No, the
Program was my 13-year-old movie.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
This was between my junior and senior season movie. I mean, it was a big deal.
Yes. This was for us, we were just getting ready to go in, and it was like, oh my God, it was just
I remember
fish
watching
in a barrel.
that. I remember watching it in the theater the first time. I remember going again and watching it in the theater.
Yes.
Like this was must.
You watched it in the theater?
Yeah, I remember this was must watch.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it at Brian Long's house.
I probably saw this 3 times in the theater.
Yep. Down the street on the Ingle Block. Watched it at Brian and Matt Long's house. First time I ever saw it. And I've probably seen it 100 times since. The whole thing. I got to tell you, though, I'd never seen Dawson's Creek until COVID. Now, I should say I've sat while Liz has watched it, and it's been on in the background. And then because we had nothing to do, I'm like, well, show's over. Turn on the Dawson. And we watched the whole series of Dawson's Creek. Writing was a little over the head, over the top. Like that, I know that was always a criticism of like, hey, high school kids really don't talk like that. I get that. I thought it was a good show. What are your thoughts on Dawson's Creek?
Okay, I was kind of in and out of that show. Never really took it seriously. It was just something that every female that we knew was obviously watching that. It was actually Rules of Attraction where I gained the most respect for James Vanderbeek because if you go back and watch that movie, I think it's getting streamed again. That's what they do. One cool thing about the streamers now, when somebody dies, they do whatever they can to like get the rights to the film and make it streamable. They're doing that with Catherine O'Hara. All her stuff's available right now. But with Vanderbeek, he is like a drug dealer and he's like a sociopath. And it's a departure from who he was. It's kind of like when you find out Bob Saget isn't America's Funniest Home Video Guy in real life.
He's passed away too.
Yeah. You found out, oh no, this is what his comedy was really about. Like that was James Vanderbeek in that movie. You're like, oh, there's another side. I like to see that there's a different side to this.
You know, the first movie I ever saw was the first movie he was in. First movie I ever saw with him was the first movie he was ever in. Do you remember Angus? It was an MTV movie. You remember that?
I just remember there's a Green Day song.
Yeah, he was the bad guy. He was the bad guy in Angus. Because Angus, also about high school football.
Oh, yeah.
He had that girl he had a crush on, and the guy's name was Rick, and it was Rick's girlfriend, or was his girlfriend? Either way, Angus wanted to move in on her. Long story short, Angus's grandpa dies. Angus decides to go to am I ruining it for anybody? Angus decides to go to the homecoming dance.
I had that on the schedule for today.
Goes to the prom, wears a plum suit, and basically ends up getting the girl in the end. Great story. Rick Sanford ends up being embarrassed in the end, I think. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Angus was a good movie. Good movie. At least I remember it as a good movie. Again, that was like when I was 10 or 11, I think, is when that movie came out. But yeah, man, James Vanderbeek, man. Like I remember like when Robin Williams died, Andy like pulled me aside. He's like, you got to talk about Robin Williams. And I'm like, I respect Robin Williams, but like Robin Williams was a big deal to Andy Roth's generation.
Yeah.
And for Vanderbeek, it was like, oh my God. Like my wife called me. She was upset. Like my wife hasn't been that upset when an actor died since Bill Paxton. She was upset about that.
Bill Paxton?
Mm-hmm. Big fan of Bill Paxton. R.I.P. to both. James Vanderbeek gone. We had several responses yesterday. Are there really that many other places that Shedeur Sanders would start right off? I had several responses after the show yesterday going, Ken, like, you're crazy. If he got cut right now by the Browns and there was like, Pittsburgh was put in there, I go, Pittsburgh?
Well, I just said I don't think he would have the market that Malik Willis would have. And that sounds ridiculous to the Shedeur fans. I get it. Because in your mind, you have already assumed without any seeing what's behind the scenes or working with Monken, like you're like, all right, you give him better offensive line, you give him better wide receivers, better coach. He's automatically going to be, top 15 starting quarterback in the league. And it's like, well, I wish it were that easy because then every bad quarterback who had a terrible rookie year would then get dramatically better when the team does all that. Because the team does that for every, and it just doesn't really work like that in the NFL.
Because you brought up the Shedeur fans saying that, hey, they don't care about the Browns. Cut him, do him a favor. He'll show you somewhere else. And I'm thinking, this is the place where he's got. I think he's got the inside track to be the starter week 1.
Yeah.
And if Mary Kay's saying 40%, well, Dylan Gabriel doesn't have any of it. So the other 60% goes to Shedeur Sanders. So if Shedeur Sanders has a 60% chance to start, who else is giving him a 60% chance to start the season? And there were a couple, the Jets, and I'm going, I don't know.
That would be one that would come to mind.
The Jets would be the only other one where I'm like, all right, fine.
What about Arizona? What's Arizona doing?
I gotta look. Trying to trade Kyler Murray, maybe even having to play Kyler Murray. I mean, would they just play Shedeur Sanders and then that's it? Would you make him the starter week 1? What's their depth chart look like? Do you have one in front of you?
For the Cardinals?
Yes.
The Jacoby Brissett was at the end of the year, and Slovis, remember?
Oh, okay. Maybe he's got more options than we thought.
But it is going to be really interesting to see how these teams, with as many quarterback needy teams as there are.
Can I tell you something else? You're telling me there were no other assistants on the varsity blue staff at West Canaan who were like, what are you doing, Lance? No, give me the headset. You're stupid. No. They just let the kids coach him?
You're right.
They just let Lance do it. And by the way, if Lance wins a game that big, you're not making him the head coach the next year?
Get the bump up.
Throwing that out there. Like Allie Larder was all upset he was going to manage the Walmart and coach JV football. I'm sorry, dude. You're beating Gilroy. I don't know if he becomes West Canaan's head coach. You're going to the show.
Let me tell you this from personal experience.
Ain't no JV about it.
A lot of people tried to pull off the shaving cream.
It don't work.
Scene. Yeah,
it don't work. It's supposed to be whipped cream.
Yeah.
You ain't eating shaving cream, buddy.
Making sure that you're not booing, but you
It don't
clap.
work. You can try it, but it doesn't.
If you have a problem, you are.
Yeah. If you can try it. Don't get me wrong. It's almost Valentine's Day, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't get to it quick enough, it don't work. Have a wonderful day, friends.
We'd need a doctor's excuse. And my doctor's excuse is this.
Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy.